Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Virtue's Last Reward. I hadn't really thought about where that breaks down as far as a title because that really probably spoils an ending that we hadn't been thinking about, or I hadn't been thinking about at least, in the fact that the good ending, which I still suspect is one of these two paths, since this is the only path we've seen that has actually expanded itself once you got to a certain point so far, although we kind of know that these two will obviously expand themselves once we play them. Uh, but yeah, I'm still thinking that that's the case. But the final part of the story might be that Sigma and Phi free everybody else and then they die. I guess I need to betray here. Um, because, uh, well, yeah, last time we did ally, and then that didn't let us go any further because we don't know how to stop Phi. I suppose there is also a point here to mention that, like, at one point in this story, Sigma suggested that Phi let him rest his head in her lap. That's a very Japanese, um, flirty thing. There's a few cultural things that seem to have popped up that I've heard about in Japan, like men laying their heads in the laps of ladies that they're uh, romantically interested in, there, ladies cleaning out their ears, which to me just sounds like dangerous and opening up the realm for uh, popped eardrums. There's been apparently a small fad at least at one point of high school kids licking the eyeballs of other high school kids and as a form of some kind of weird fetish, and that seemingly caused a lot of eye infections. Uh, it seems like uh, being such a small country and an Asian country that has not had as much of a cultural foundation of just common sense or just a standard cultural foundation of this is how we act, that there's been a little bit more room for people to just decide to do random crazy things that sound random and crazy to at least a Westerner's perspective. I think that's probably true in almost every country, but it gets sensationalized as wacky Japan more than any other country does. Uh, in the United States, there's plenty of uh, parts of the United States where some crazy religious splinter or sect of a religion is doing something crazy, or some family is just doing something crazy that is not brought to light. Um, there is also definitely a kind of bias as far as local news. The Western news people will love to highlight that one whack job in a different in a different country way more than they want to highlight all the Florida whack jobs in the United States. Uh, but I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. My point there is it does seem to imply that Sigma and Phi are Japanese, or that this story is just written so so from such a Japanese perspective that they're attributing Japanese cultures and concepts to Western people, and I would believe the latter, frankly, because then you have to explain, uh, like, I don't know how you create a scenario where Sigma happens to be Japanese, but he's in Nevada, going to college, without explaining it.
your decision, Sigma.
This is funny how Luna is just always so
I'll be in the same
passive.
position either way. You have 6BP too, don't you? That means if we betray Phi, and she chooses ally... Yes, you see? In either case, I could end up with someone in my group reaching their goal.
So, in this case, Luna's best bet is to actually just have both sides betray.
20 seconds.
Which honestly, that might be the only way you're going to get Luna's ending, is if there are just a lot of
That's it. You don't have any
deadlocks.
time left. You have to make a choice. Yes.
I still wouldn't be super surprised if any of these characters turned out to be Zero.
10 seconds remain.
I also wouldn't be surprised if that tombstone in the botanical garden actually is Zero. What am I gonna choose?
9, 8, 7,
It's been a while since I last played, so I want to. I'm a little bit
5, 4,
at odds here, but inherently this game has that problem of if I sit and play 12 hours a day, I'm frustrated because it's just going too long. If I take a couple days off and come back, I'm frustrated because I've forgotten where I was, at least, if not some fairly important things.
round 2 of the
So
Ambidex game has been
I
completed.
really can't think of a great way to play a game like this.
Results will be displayed
Like,
in the warehouse.
honestly, the best way I'd imagine an experience like this would work for a Westerner is if it was 20-minute episodes like TV episodes with a recap of 3 or 4 minutes at the beginning each time. Places where it very distinctively told you to save. Places after it where after you saved it asked if you want to exit to the main menu or continue playing.
For your participation. Ambidex gates now opening.
In the last timeline, we allied expecting Phi to betray, and Phi remembered that we had betrayed. So previously in a different timeline, and so this may be the timeline where we betrayed. So oddly, Phi may be hurt here because we actually did betray and she allied. There was something that occurred to me where it could have been a case, and it would be amazing if this was the case, and I think it isn't, that it is the percentage of the completion of the game that starts the bomb showing up, not which branch you go into, and it is the percentage of the completion of the game that affects whether other people ally or betray. So it at that point actually would just be a red herring as far as which chromatic doors you go through, that they have little or less effect on the game than you really think. If that were the case, then there is almost an argument that you should, once you've unlocked everything else, start the game all the way through and play the perfect run from the beginning, or maybe even have to play that way. But that is putting so much faith in this game creator and in this development company that I just don't feel like you can place that faith in them to have done something so amazing while they're still doing something fairly amazing with just the chromatic and branching door pass. I've been watching people play Danganronpa a little bit while playing this too, and I kind of can't help but feel like Danganronpa does this same concept. There's a lot of parallels, but does it a lot better by simply having a linear story instead of a branching path timeline, different multiverse story. This game makes a great argument for the pros of having just solid game over screens when somebody fails and the story is going in a direction that the the writer doesn't want them to go into.
So,
Let's see how the vote
you
go.
chose betray. Did you do it to protect yourself? Were you worried that Fi might choose betray?
That's a good question. Huh? I'm honestly not sure myself why I did it. And see, we get this response every time we betray.
We should go see the results. I want to see how Kay and Clover voted.
Right, let's go and then. You need to just get back into the flow and rush as fast as possible.
Results from round 2
You can
of
skip
the
this
Ambidex
line.
Game will now be displayed. Please direct your attention to the results screen.
It would be crazy if it turned out somebody else voted differently, but I don't even know what the votes were. So Kay and Alice allied, Timoji and Dio and Clover allied, and in this case, we betrayed and Fi allied, which is okay. Suppose fine, because then that puts Sigma at number 9, and we've seen in previous timelines, Sigma has literally just tried to escape as soon as he has 9. Is there any good reason that we can control Sigma as the character versus Sigma being the player, so he won't try to escape? Because you literally have a solution here to save a lot of people. All Sigma has to do is say, okay, I'm not going to open the number 9 door. In fact, it wouldn't... Excuse me. It wouldn't be a bad thing for Sigma to say, I'm not going through the 9 door. In fact, I'm going to walk into the infirmary and wait in there, just as a good faith measure, and we can discuss it that way. Or I'm going to walk to the other side of the warehouse. Clearly, they put this projector screen right next to the number 9 door, so people could run to the number 9 door. But if Sigma just waits one more turn, Kay can ally, Cork can ally, Alice, even if she did betray, would not get 9. Timoji, even if he did betray, would not get 9. Dio can ally, Clover can ally, Luna can ally, and Fi would have to betray. But if Fi betrayed either Timoji or Alice, she would be killing them. If she betrayed anybody else, then they wouldn't have 9. So one round, maybe 2 rounds, if we just all got on the same page and trusted everybody, we could balance the score out easily to get to 9, I think, in 3 or 4 rounds. And the only real issue is the bomb. And I suppose the question to ask you is, does Dio have a reason to set off the bomb early? Like, it could very well be the case that Dio does not care one bit about killing any of these people, and he just wants to escape and send the message that the bombs have been planted and the bombs have been exploded. Maybe he just cares about blowing up the facility. So if everybody escaped and he activates the bombs, then he may just be happy. It could even be that this facility is like ground zero for all the Radical 6 virus.
Points have been assigned or subtracted accordingly.
But also,
Please
we've
check
seen
your
plenty of
bracelets
instances
to
where
see your
it just
updated
turns into
bracelet points.
a dead end, bad end.
Well played, Sigma. I guess a promise means a lot to you.
I had nothing to say. She was right. I had broken a promise.
Why did you do it? Nothing to say? I guess I misjudged you. I thought you were better than this.
See, so this really just feels like, in this flow particular, they needed you to have, let's see, they needed you to have voted voted, I guess, betray first and tried to go down the right path first. So it feels like they had just kind of hoped that if you'd gone down this path, you would have gotten all the way down the betray path first and then worked your way towards the center. Or if you'd gone down this path, you'd done all of the allies first. That I think they kind of feel like you most players would have ended up here last. And I don't know how a recursive gameplay really would have accomplished that.
That was not a smart move, Sigma. I won't forget this. I'll make sure you pay, even if it's the last thing I do. Elapsum semel occasionum, non ipse potest Jupiter reprehendere.
And here she's speaking Latin again. What's that?
Latin proverb.
What does it mean?
Not even Jupiter can find a lost opportunity. Jupiter is a Roman god. Actually, he's kind of the Roman god. He's in charge of all the others. Not even Jupiter, the ruler of the gods, can take back what's been done. It's something bad. You're not gonna get a chance to take it back.
And see, I feel like this Latin phrase alone is probably the key to unlocking how to stop Phi. I turned away from Phi. I couldn't stand to look at her anymore. In front of me were Kay and Clover. Their eyes bored into me with cold disapproval, and I looked away. They'd both chose an ally as promised. The only person who'd betray anyone was me. The only person with 9 BP was me. Little wonder I wasn't very popular.
What do you intend to do?
You aren't thinking about trying to open the number 9 door, are you?
For a moment I considered the unthinkable. Could I break through them and reach the number 9 door? Once I was through, I'd be out of the game and free of their judgment. But no, I couldn't do that. How could I possibly justify leaving them all behind so I could escape on my own? Why had I chosen betray? In my memory, it seems like an almost flippant choice. As if I'd just been curious to see what would happen. If betrayal was what I wanted, I should have made that choice with commitment. But there I was, and I couldn't turn back. Even if I didn't try to open the number 9 door, they would all be suspicious of anything I did. Trust is easy to break and hard to repair. Unless I could somehow turn back the clock, I was stuck with the consequences of my actions.
Elapsum semel occasionum, non ipse potest Jupiter.
Do we really need a flashback?
Not even Jupiter can find a lost opportunity.
How could I do something that was beyond the reach of a god? Why hadn't I just chosen an ally? What would be happening to me right now? What if? What if? What if? Then Phi spoke, and I blinked.
Sigma,
Interesting.
we're just doing this to be safe. We can't let you run around with 9 BP.
So are they going to inject me with
I'm
Soparil?
afraid you're going to have to sleep for a little while.
Hmm.
Okay?
Huh? I decided to turn around, but it was already too late. I felt a heavy hand slam into the back of my neck. Oh, she just karate chopped him. And then everything went dark. And so you get a game over ... See, that's a whole other avenue I hadn't even considered, is that we could easily have people vote that if you get 9 PP, then you're out of the game, and we're going to put you in a Soparil sleep. And we're going to leave you that way until everybody else gets 9 BP. Of course, that potentially leaves 8 people asleep because of Soparil, which apparently one assumes they have a almost unlimited amount of that. And that one person who would be still awake could be the 0. So you can see here, the game's been running almost 16 hours since I last played. So you get a dead end, and now we can stop Phi. So you had to get this dead end to unlock this. So is that what we want to do? Or do we want to... See, when we opened this one, this was just naturally open, probably because of the other dead ends. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually added all of these dead ends together. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I see 5 locks at the moment. Honestly, I think it would just be easier to start the jump here instead of recursively going back here and playing these 2 branch paths. So let's just do that. So we're going to jump directly to this locked part where how could we stop Phi? Apparently how we can stop Phi is by this time when we choose allied instead of betray. Oddly, this time it's Luna, it's Phi that betrays. And so she has 9, and we have to figure out a way to stop her from leaving.
You chose ally, right? Are you sure that was okay?
And see, jumping between those 2 endings is real easy. Like, we've barely been going 21 minutes, and frankly, I could imagine 6 minutes of that was just me moving fairly slow.
What?
I missed a sentence there. Let's just go have a look, shall we? We know pretty quick whether I knew anything or not.
Okay. Let's go.
Results from round
The thing I
of the
suspect would never happen here is we would just never see a scenario where we ally and and Phi allies with us. So there is definitely a branch that's missing, and I imagine there is probably a branch that's missing in each of these now that we know different timelines can change different things, at least for Phi. Maybe in these other branches, in these other AB games, we weren't ever against Phi, so that's why there doesn't need to be a 3rd branch here. But it definitely would have been easy to just branch out this game even more.
Please direct your attention to the results screen.
And it's so obvious here what's going to happen. We're going to speak some Latin, and maybe that'll stop her for a moment, and that's about it.
Points have been assigned, or
we may knock her out, or we may convince her not to escape, and then maybe the story will go further.
Bracelet points.
What the hell, Phi? Why'd you choose betray? You chose ally before. I see.
So you remember it too?
See, this is different dialogue.
The other round 2.
What? It wasn't even close to the response I'd expected. It felt anticlimactic. Hey, hold on a minute here. You know? You remember how I chose betray in the last time in round 2?
Of course. Why do you think I chose betray this time?
See, this is a different line of dialogue than what we got before.
Don't you remember what I said? That I'd make you pay?
See, some of this was the same dialogue, but they've added a few more sentences. Yeah, I do remember that. Then this is you making me pay.
Yes.
Wait. No, that didn't make any sense. Something wasn't right. How could we both know about an earlier round 2? How could there have been an earlier round 2? Was it some sort of alternate history? What the hell was I thinking? that was conspiracy theory poop. Even if there was some sort of alternate timeline or universe or whatever, there's no way I could know what had happened in it. Like, at a certain point, if you're talking alternate timelines and alternate realities, how can you be held responsible for the actions that occur in an alternate timeline or an alternate history? So at a certain point, you have to just forgive that and say, well, that was not the me of this timeline. No way I could know. At least I didn't think there was any way I could know. But if I could, then how? I remembered Fi choosing ally, then scowling at me when I broke my promise and swearing revenge.
That was not a smart move, Sigma.
But see, we've played this oddly where we've gone through this ending 3 times when they really wanted you to go through it 2 times. Which honestly, you would have fixed that. You could have fixed that easily simply by forcing you to hit the betray button. Always. Even if you just accidentally bumped it or something. Or just said, my hand won't move. I have to betray. I must betray. Just take away some of the agency of the player character, the player himself, and just take the decision out of my hands. That would be better, frankly, because you really don't have any control over the story at all. The story as it is, and as branching as it is not just one perfect path that we're trying to reach. The story here is going through every single timeline.
I won't forget this. I'll make sure you pay.
So
even if it's the last thing I do.
There definitely would have been a more streamlined experience if instead of giving you choices, it just played out. And at a certain point, that just would have made this a kinetic visual novel, and some people don't like kinetic visual novels in the sense that there's no choices. But often in visual novels, even if you are given a choice, the branching paths are fairly limited. But in all fairness, also, the good branching path visual novels are usually games where you are dating one of many possible anime girls or anime boys in the story. And that does take you on a very different path, and it does end up with you having a different anime boy or anime girl as your romantic partner, which is not what happens here. Like, there's only one good ending. There is only one even slightly good ending in Virtue's Last Reward. Whereas a lot of the romance visual novels, there would be decent endings or comparable endings amongst many, many different branches, to the point where you could easily play a lot of visual novel romance games and just pick the girl that you wanted to end up with, play well enough to end up with them, and then not play any of the other branching paths. Why did I know? Why is the screen all gray too? Isn't it usually black? Perhaps more importantly, why did Fi remember it? What the hell did any of this mean? The real question I'm still trying to figure out, is it just a morphogenic field that is allowing him to remember this, or is there some scientific or magical reason for it? It had happened before, hadn't it? During round 1 of the AB games, when I was playing against Alice, I'd seen something. Fine, I had chosen Betray, but for some reason I'd seen reality where we chose an ally instead. And see, we wouldn't have gotten that dialogue, I imagine. Suddenly I realized that I wasn't alone. I looked up to see Luna, Clover, and Kay. They all began to speak at once.
What happened?
Why did you choose Betray, Fi?
Yeah. You're the only one who didn't vote ally.
Fi looked away and scowled. For several long moments, her eyes stared off into the distance, and I could also see her mind working. Finally, she sighed and spoke.
Right. Well, I've got 9 points now. So sorry, but I'm out of here.
It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me why Fi leaves early, huh? What do you mean?
Do I really have to explain it? I'm leaving. Through the number 9 door.
Hey, wait. I scrambled around in front of her and threw my arms out.
You're in my way. Move.
No, I'm not letting you go. What happened to you? I didn't think you were this kind of person who ditched the rest of us so you could get away. I think they know about the bombs now too, so she's basically leaving them to be blown up by 2 bombs she knows of. Minimum.
When someone betrays your trust, it feels like a part of you dies. For me, I don't think you have even the slightest idea what that feels like.
Skipped a sentence there. Betrays you or... What? Wait, are you saying...
Whatever. Just get out of my way.
No, I'm not
I
moving.
see. Then you leave me no choice.
As she spoke, Fi bent down. You still don't know how she can jump so high and why they bothered to animate that. Then shot up into the air over my head. I spun around to see her standing next to the number 9 door with her hand on the lever. You.
Nice try.
She grinned and tightened her grip on the lever.
Plaudite, acta est fabula.
What the hell's that?
It's Latin. Applaud. The play has ended. That's what it means.
Latin.
See you later.
Wait. Stop. I felt myself speaking before I even knew what the words were. Lapsum seminal occasium non ipsi potest lupiter reprehende. Which I don't know if I pronounced that anywhere close. Not even Jupiter can find a lost opportunity. Are you sure this is how you want it to end? What about the Nonary game? 0, the bombs. We still don't know the truth of any of it. If you leave now, we never will. Is that really how you want? Dot 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 dot.
Fine.
If I slowly let go of the lever. Phew. Look, I'm sorry about betraying you. I'm honestly not sure why I did
Forget
it.
about it. This time you chose ally and I chose betray. I think we're even.
What are you talking about?
When did you betray her? Are you talking about round 1?
No, we aren't talking about round 1. We're...
Just drop it. There's no point. I doubt they'd understand even if you did tell them.
Yeah. You're right. So, why does Fine Sigma immediately think that these other characters couldn't also potentially be remembering other timelines or would potentially understand that? Question marks instead of dot dot dots this
I
time.
don't get it.
Well, at least it seems Fi has decided to remain.
You've really changed your mind? Yeah, I'll stick around a little longer. Like he said, I can't leave until we figured out what's going on.
See, I don't know where the storyline really goes, though. Because I don't know if we have the password input device in this timeline. We probably do. And we still have like 2 more bombs we have to find and 2 more codes we have to be able to type in.
Oh man, that's a relief.
And where's Dio and Tinmyoji in this setup? Like, in this timeline. I could think Tinmyoji might still be in the infirmary with Quark and probably Alice. I assume Alice is still alive in this scenario. But it's weird that Dio is not here.
Please don't scare us like that again.
It might very well be that this is the good path because Fi is the only person you can convince not to run through the number 9 door.
Have closed. Round 3 of the Ambidex game will be.
We can skip some of this.
Are required. There is no. The Ambidex gates can be.
See, some of these memories, if Phi and Sigma did have the memory of just what was said right then, that the third round uses star keys, and star keys can be used as many times as you want, that one piece of information, if you can even throw it out as a possibility and not even confirm it, would have given so much hope to the characters that even in the first voting round, people would have been willing to ally, I think, a lot more. And yet that key point of information is not getting remembered.
As long as you have the star keys, you can play the AB game as many times as you want.
You probably won't be allowed to play it continuously, however. There's a period of time between when the doors open and when the polling ends.
Based off the last 2 rounds, I think it's about 45 minutes long.
So you can repeat the game once every 45 minutes or so.
Oh, that's right.
What?
Didn't Zero Jr. say something about that?
As soon as the gates close, the colors get all shuffled up automatically.
That's like not what he said at all.
The pair and solo assignments
I don't
hop
think.
around a bit too.
Maybe it is. I don't even remember. Oh yeah. What are your bracelets, guys? Looks like I'm a red solo.
I'm a magenta pair. Me too.
Hmm.
That means we'll be a team this time. I think we'll do great. Yeah.
Who's gonna be my partner then? I'm a cyan pair.
They do not appear to be here. I, for instance, am a yellow pair.
Huh? Wait a second. If Luna and Clover are a magenta pair, and Phi's a cyan pair, and K's a yellow pair, who the hell am I supposed to partner up with?
Cyan pair, I imagine.
Phi and her mysterious partner.
How do you figure that?
Sigma, what colors are added together to create cyan?
I guess we're getting slightly new dialogue here. And we can take a moment to look at the flow, and yeah, this may just end real quickly, or this may just keep on going. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these kind of only show one block ahead, maybe 2 or 3 blocks ahead, and not the full run. Green and blue, right?
What color would you get by adding your red to that?
Red, green, and blue would be white.
Exactly.
So you're saying the next set of chromatic doors are going to be white?
Yes,
They didn't even find the white doors, apparently, in
How
this
do you know?
timeline.
because I have seen them. After leaving the archives, we found a warehouse very similar to this one. In it was a set of white...
What's going to be weird here is that we're going to manage to potentially go 3 hours and not even do an escape room.
Well, to be precise, a set of doors which radiated white light.
Are we traveling now, or are they just showing us something on the map? I mean, I kind of wouldn't be upset with
I saw him too.
the idea of them just jumping to that room to save us some time, but I know they were just showing us something on the map.
After we were finished in the garden, we went to the same warehouse he's talking about.
And see, that seems like that is the same animation, basically, just getting repeated twice. Do we really need to see the same animation twice?
They had the
Like,
same
it
little
might
lock
be
thingies.
telling us that, hey, Kay and Clover in this timeline went that way, so we know they didn't sneak off and plant bombs, but
I'm 100% sure they're the next chromatic doors.
we are definitely not in a scenario where we don't know that it's Dio that planted the
What about
bombs.
the people back in the infirmary? Do they know about the white doors?
And I believe the game just locked up there. That was weird. That was really, really weird. Like, just full on locked up.
Yes. If we exclude Quark from their number, then I believe they do.
Wonder what colors they are.
As far as pairs go,
Yeah, I believe, in all fairness, what just happened there in the lockup was that my hard drive is slightly full, and so Windows just decided to empty the trash, as it were, on my video hard drive, because I'm now seeing that it jumped potentially as far as the amount of free space that was available.
We're missing a cyan and a yellow.
If Sigma's a red solo, then we should
I'll have to
a
make
green
sure
solo
to
and a blue solo
free
in
up
the
some
infirmary.
space before I record the next episode.
Well, I'm going back to the infirmary. Kind of worried about Alice and Quark.
See, we don't know if they have the cure. I don't think they have the Alexivar in this scenario, because they would have had to gone to the laboratory to get that, and they went to the archives instead.
Too.
So pretty much just Alice and Quark are asleep under the Soparil.
As will I.
So unless we walk in there and we find out that Alice, Quark, and Tinmoji have all either been murdered by someone else or killed themselves because of Radical 6. That's right. Wait, guys. There's something I need to tell you.
Huh? What is it?
Go on.
I mean, I meant to say something earlier, but I guess there was just so much other stuff going on. I looked at Phi. She nodded back. See, truth is, this'll be another bomb.
What?
Oh no! You found another bomb?
Yeah. In the garden.
No, that's not possible. We didn't see anything like that.
Could you have missed it?
No, no way. We checked every part of that room.
There was a number on this one too. It said 01. Since the one we found in the crew quarters said 03 on it,
There
well,
might be a third bomb out there somewhere.
I think there's a good chance.
still haven't found the dead
You're
lady.
wrong. We should split up and find this other bomb. It could be anywhere.
Wouldn't it be creepy if it turned out K is a robot, but it's a robot in a human armor? Therefore, they crammed the dead body of the lady inside of K, and he's just been walking around with a dead corpse on the inside this whole time. I don't know if they would go that far in a game like this, even though they do go far in a lot of ways. Yes, I agree.
Even if we do find it, what are we supposed to do?
That is a concern for later. At the moment, our primary concern should be finding it.
You can't fight an enemy you can't see, after all.
Precisely.
All right, I'll head back to the infirmary and let everybody else know.
Please.
How about we set a time to meet back here, just in case? The time we have left until the chromatic doors open is... Let's see.
You have an hour and 57 minutes. Quite a bit, actually.
1 hour and 57 minutes.
I think approximately half of that should be enough. When we have 1 hour remaining, we should meet back at the infirmary. Acceptable?
That sounds good to me. Right. I'll tell the others too.
Good. Let's go. So we might be in a scenario here, and this is the perfect point where I'd like to look at the flow, and it won't let me because it's a transition, where we are going to search some of the other areas on the second floor, or possibly even some of the areas on the first floor. There is a bit of an assumption I think they might be making that the bomb isn't potentially going to be planted on the third floor, or on the second floor or the first floor again. And this might be the only the second time that we've actually had Phi show up in this warehouse, so we might actually see mention of the still seems like there's only one ending, one novel section. We might see some mention of the painting on the wall of the second floor. So these are the white doors that Kay and Clover were talking about. Yeah, there's the lock thing. No question, they are chromatic doors,
So
I guess.
It seems.
Ah, what? When did you?
Been here the whole time.
Seriously? I didn't notice you at all.
Oh, I guess your hearing's starting to go. How sad.
Arg. See, now we have playful flirting again. So what do you want? Why are you stalking
I'm
me?
not stalking you. I just followed you here.
That's pretty much the same thing. But how did you do it? You were totally silent. Are you Batman?
I already told you I'm not. Remember? Back in the AB room when we met?
Yeah, actually. You also jumped super high all the way up to the ceiling.
Right. Aren't you curious about that graffiti?
Graffiti. Oh yeah, that. Memento mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. And then 9 is misspelled. And like at any point there could be extra paint added to change this, like in the previous game. 8 could have been the letter A in 8 could be the number 4. Any E could be the number 1. Any H could be the number 1. U could be the number 1, 2. Sun could be the number 5. And so if there's an actual number system here, then that might be the trick here, is that somebody had painted a code and then they painted over it to hide it.
Why do you say that?
Well, they managed to spell 9th wrong, which in the other timeline, I think it was Phi that saw that, not Sigma, who puts an E in there. Then again, maybe it means something.
Do you know what it means? The Latin part.
Hey, now give me a little credit. Even I know what memento mori means. You didn't in previous timelines. You see it all over the place. As far as I know, it translates to something like be aware of death or remember your mortality. Never forget that we all die someday. I guess that's some sort of cautionary thing.
What about the other part?
It's exactly what it says on the tin, right? See, and that was the exact phrase that Phi said. So he's literally just spitting back what Phi said in the other timeline to her. Subconsciously, I would assume. Some sort of conditional about lions and suns. Anything come to mind?
No, nothing. Nothing at all. What about you?
Me? Huh. Well, let's see. Memento mori if the 9th lion ate the sun. Memento mori if the 9th lion ate the sun. Repeated the words over and over in my head, but nothing. Whatever that meant, it was beyond me, but perhaps Phi. Latin. Don't you know Latin? Maybe you can figure out more of it.
Well, I know a little. More than most people, I guess, but I'm not an expert.
Then how'd you know that phrase? Lipsum seminal occasium non ipsi potest lupitor reprehende.
Oh, that. That's from, this.
She unpinned the brooch from her chest as she spoke and held it out. I've been wondering about this brooch since the game began, and they've really done nothing to reveal that they would ever say anything about it. I hesitated for a moment, then took it.
Look at the back.
I turned it over. So the phrase is actually on the pin. So I guess the I is pronounced J in Latin.
Yeah.
What is this?
A memento of my late mother.
So Phi is going to tell us about her mother. She doesn't have amnesia. She just hasn't told us anything about her.
Well, I guess it's
Self.
something like a memento.
What does that
She
mean?
died right after I was born. I was raised by foster parents, and they told me where the brooch had come from.
Yep, that opens up the question that she might very well just be a robot.
Apparently, it was the only thing my mother had left behind.
What about your father?
Don't have one. I guess you could say I was a bastard. I never saw his face, and I don't know his name.
So it'd be funny if she turned out to be like Santa's daughter, and this was far in the future. It's possible Santa did have the white hair, so yeah, that's believable. That doesn't really change the story much. It just connects her to potentially a character in the previous game. Otherwise, she could be anybody. Like, and if she was connected to like the brother of the Free the Soul movement, that doesn't really make a lot of sense because we haven't heard any argument so far that the Free the Soul movement like hates women. Although odds are good on any cult hating women. So, yeah, I don't know how that would tie in, and we really haven't heard of any other characters unless it would turn out that Vi is like Alice's half sister. Which, okay, that might make sense. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense if Kay turned out to be her father because she just wouldn't know. Is there anybody else that would even begin to make sense? It'd be really weird if it turned out she was your daughter, Sigma's daughter.
I don't even know if he's alive.
Oh. I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I just handed her back the brooch. That feels like I just got a bad end on that dialogue tree.
It's got to be almost like a prayer for me. Whenever I had to make a tough decision, I'd say it to myself. Sometimes I'd just repeat it over and over like a chant. Before long, I had it memorized. Got me interested in Latin, and I started studying the language. Occasionum, non ipsi protest Jupiter reprehendere.
Jupiter.
Not even Jupiter can find a lost opportunity. Sounds nice, doesn't it? But it seems kind of funny now. I mean, look at us. We've done what Jupiter can't. We can find our lost opportunities. That's why I followed you here. I thought it would be a good idea to talk to you about all this. Alone.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
Something else we need to do too, though.
Find the number 2 bomb?
Exactly. So we should get going. I'm pretty sure the bomb isn't in here. There's nowhere to hide it. So...
You're saying we should go somewhere else.
Well, come on, don't just stand there. We need to get a move on.
Without waiting for a reply, she turned and started towards one of the exits. I followed. Apparently, I'm not even going to get a choice on where to go, which is fine by me. We'll just see where this ends up taking us. I still feel like decent chance we're just going to end up getting blown up or killed. Yeah, there's a decent chance that as Clover and Kay went to the infirmary, they ended up getting Radical 6 and dying, and by the time Phi and Sigma get back, everybody will have either killed themselves or been killed. The archive's a good place to hide a bomb. Now, where the hell did we start looking?
I doubt it really matters. If it's here, we'll find it eventually.
So what about the Jupiter stuff?
We can talk while we look. Now get started.
This isn't going to be an escape room, though. This is just going to be novel. I turned to a corner of the room and began looking as I spoke.
I'll start with a conclusion I've come to. Our consciousnesses seem to be able to jump through time. No, sorry. Through time isn't really accurate. It's more like we move through worlds.
Worlds?
Yes. I don't mean physical planets in this case. Talking about a whole different universe, really. Parallel worlds.
What?
Do you know about the many worlds interpretation?
Well, kind of. I think I've heard of it once or twice. Are we still going to get a wall of explanation? Probably.
Oh, well, I'll just explain it. Let's say...
Yeah, you get it explained regardless.
I don't care what it is, but could you move? Scratch your head, cross your arms, put your hands on your hips. Anything?
I had no idea what this was supposed to explain, but I did as she asked. Interesting. Interesting that we're gonna have. I have, like, apparently this whole option of things I can do. Which, how many options am I being given here? Looks like 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 options. So let's blow a kiss. Mwah. Mwah. Go, feelings, touch her heart. She dodged them. That's
you
cold.
did something gross just now, didn't you? But you could have chosen to tap dance or moonwalk.
Sure. Tap dance. Moonwalk.
Details don't matter. Just talking about possibilities here.
Hmm.
Now maybe there are other Sigmas in other worlds who did all of those things. All of these worlds and realities are branching off from one another. The choices you could have made branched off from the moment you decided what you were going to do just now. Every moment you make a decision, another universe branches off.
Here you have the
on
flow
into infinity.
basically showing you how crazy the flow really could have been. But I think if you look at the top right there is a point to point out where I think the flow should have been better designed. See the dotted line? That implies to me in one run you would have gone the curved route along on the outside and taken more time, and then in future playthroughs, alternate timelines, it would have just taken the dotted line as a shortcut. That's more of what I think I would have liked to see happen. Of course, this depiction has a whole bunch of symbols that potentially represent a whole bunch of different things. I also would say I'm not sure that every scientific interpretation of the multiverse theory implies that every single possible action actually does branch into a different universe, and it is more a case of some molecules branching into different universes with perhaps a finite number of them, or some actions not really ever occurring. Like, you really expand the idea of you have a quark that might spin clockwise or counterclockwise, and in an alternate universe the quark will spin the other direction versus whatever way it spins in the first universe. And since everything's made of quarks, that then somehow is going to scale up to the point where people's minds and decisions allow a different universe for every single possibility. It feels more believable that there are just some people who would never, ever, ever decide to do a certain thing, or never be capable of doing a certain thing.
Each of those branches is an alternate world. A world where a version of you did something different. Haven't you ever thought about what life would have been like if you'd made different choices? What if you'd gone to this high school instead of that one?
This also feels very much like a mid-game reveal, and that's certainly going to suck if this turns out to be the mid-game reveal and there is a ton more content instead of being closer to the two-thirds of the way done reveal
What if you
or
hadn't
further.
started a study group? What if you hadn't told that girl you liked her? What if? What if? But are those what ifs really just what ifs? Or are there other worlds out there where you did those things? Anyway, that's the many worlds interpretation in a nutshell. I've simplified it a lot.
If every single action occurs, there is also a scenario where you would just drop dead in every single branch. Also, your heart would stop, or you'd have an aneurysm or something, because you're opening up the door to that, or the world explodes in a lot of universes.
Doesn't
And
have to be human
at a
actions,
certain
though.
point, yeah, I guess every universe probably has a finite amount of time before the entire universe just collapses and crunches back into a big crunch and then possibly another big bang at that point.
I just used your actions to make the explanation easier to grasp. The actions of a cat, the flight of a bee, the movement of a microorganism, even fluctuations in air temperature. All these can change history.
It's also worth mentioning that humans' brains are designed to see patterns when there really aren't them. Like they're so good at pattern recognition, they see them even when they don't actually exist. So that tends to cause humans to apply small actions as factors or perhaps starting forces for larger changes, where it is probably much more realistic to say the actions of cat, the flight of a bee, the movement of a microorganism probably doesn't matter and probably would never change larger decisions. Whoa. Hold on a second there. I'll let the microorganism slide, but there's no way that air is conscious of anything.
Can you say for sure that you are?
What?
All of your actions are caused by the cells in your brain.
This is another case where it feels like the story might be going in a crazy direction.
If we go down a little further.
At a certain point in Japan, magic mushrooms were legal, and I feel like a lot of Japanese authors and creators, and I'm fairly certain even the creators of Super Mario Brothers, tried those out and got influenced, perhaps permanently for the rest of their life, by the magic mushrooms. So you're getting down to a point of throwing out a lot of red herrings, a lot of conspiracy theory type thinking.
Are those atoms and electrons still you making a decision? At that level? How different are you from the air? I'd say not much.
Could also make the argument of determinism, that you have no choice at all, ever, and you just think you do.
Human existence is just one part of reality.
And that really would smack in the face of this game.
Falling in love is like a tulip blossoming. A tulip blossoming is like a tornado forming in South America. See what I'm saying? The only thing that really matters is the action of the most elementary particles of matter. That's where history happens. That's where universes branch out.
Yeah, at a certain point they're just going to make the argument that it doesn't matter what you do in this game because you're already predetermined to do whatever's going to happen.
Are you done with that shelf?
Not yet.
While I talk. How familiar are you with quantum physics? Never mind, don't answer that. I'll try and keep it simple for you.
Seems like we've just walked into a wall of explanations that are going to explain the main conceit of the game while not explaining any of the important questions or answering any of the important questions for the game.
Hand me that box, will you?
This one? This one, sure. Handed the box I'd been examining over to her. She set it down on the desk and opened the top.
Also, there's a stuffed lion over there. Perfect. He's part of Felidae too.
Felidae? What's that word? With that, she grabbed the lion and tossed it unceremoniously into the box. She also took a weight and an ink jar and put them next to the lion.
Alright. Everything's ready.
So I think we're just getting the Schrodinger's cat experiment explained to us.
Remember that book in the crew quarters about Schrodinger's cat?
Yeah, I don't know why we need to explain this twice. This feels like something that should pop up and ask you, hey, do you want an explanation of Schrodinger's cat again? Or not? Because we could just skip this.
It relates to all this stuff I've been talking about. Anyway, come look at the box.
What about looking for the...
Take a minute.
Yeah, it feels like I'm just wasting time now, and I'm not going to find the bomb because of this. I shrugged and peered into the box. I guess maybe if Dio, though, gets Radical 6, he may activate the bombs at any point. We hadn't really considered that one. We haven't seen him infected before. Well, there's a stuffed lion.
From now on, that's a cat. A living cat. This is important. Got it?
Yeah, it's a cat. Meow.
Oh, man. This again?
Sorry. I can't help it.
I find that hard to believe. Ugh. Fine. Maybe I can just ignore it.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry.
Alright, what else do you see?
A weight that's not even pawed and a jar of ink.
Right. Now the weight is going to be radioactive material, and the jar of ink is full of poisonous gas.
What? I'm getting out of here.
Idiot. It's not really full of gas. This is just hypothetical. Imagine that it's full of gas. So, what's the weight?
Radioactive material.
And the jar of ink.
It's full of poison gas.
Exactly. Good work. Now, there's one other thing.
I'm
you
going to
need
put
know
text
about
on the
jar.
screen just to remind you.
If it's struck by any of the alpha particles the radioactive material emits, it'll break. These particles are emitted randomly, but there's a 50% chance that one of them will come into contact with the jar over the course of an hour. So let's close the lid. And pretend an hour has passed. Here's the question. Is the cat inside of the box alive or dead?
Yep. And see, this is why this is a thought experiment that tries to explain physics, and it fails kind of miserably to actually explain physics and just creates confusion. Because just because nobody has observed whether the cat is alive or dead in any way does not mean that the cat actually is both alive and dead. In fact, I would argue that what this is trying to explain, as I understand it, and I could be wrong here, but it's supposed to be that you cannot see the spin of a particle, quark, whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, and without observing it. And until you observe it, they're arguing that it doesn't have a spin. And if you observe its spin, then you can't tell its velocity in which it's moving. And if you observe its velocity, you can't tell its spin. And when you observe it to get either of those two values, you actually change it so it can't keep its information. All of that really feels like that's just technology we haven't figured out yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 100 to 200 years, maybe a lot shorter, we can easily observe the spin of a particle without changing its spin. We can easily observe its spin and its velocity at the same time. And we'll find out that these complicated mathematical theories that came up with these solutions are not the full answer, and there was something else we just didn't know about.
You can't open the box to check. And you can't hit the box. Obviously, you can't shake it either.
Almost certainly if the cat was alive, he'd be screaming his head off.
It's also been soundproofed, so the cat could be howling up a storm in there and you'd never know. Basically, you have no idea what's going on inside the box.
There's almost a joke answer here that makes more sense too. Because if the cat is in a box with a radioactive particle and an hour has passed, decent chance the cat's been irradiated and is at the very least soon to be dead. And if it's a cat, it's almost certainly going to knock off a jar of poison and break it in a panic. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if it actually raises it to 100% chance that the cat would either get irradiated and die or break the poison jar and kill himself that way on accident.
Do you remember what happens if the alpha particles hit the jar?
You'd almost have to have the cat in a lead-lined box inside of another box for it then to make sense. And then a tube connecting the poison gas to the lead-lined box. It breaks, gas fills the box, and the cat inhales it, and death will whisk her away.
What if the jar doesn't break?
The cat lives to tell the tale.
And what are the chances of either of those things happening?
About 50%.
Uh-huh. So, what's your answer? Is the cat alive or dead?
I can't possibly know.
And guess. It's not hard. Alive or dead?
Alright, we'll go. Should we go with the a specific choice here? I don't think it matters. I'm gonna go with it's dead. The world is a harsh place for a cat. I have a feeling the poor kitty's dead.
Nope. You're wrong.
Yeah, you're gonna say wrong either way.
That's
It's
wrong
alive?
too.
Then what's the right
The
answer?
answer is that it's in a state where it is neither dead nor alive.
What? How does that make any sense?
It's an extrapolation of something we see at the atomic level. We don't know if an atom is spinning upward or downward until we measure it.
Upward, downward, clockwise, counterclockwise. It's a relative measurement.
Before it's measured, those two possibilities coexist.
No. Mathematically speaking, as far as we know, like,
But as soon as the measurement is taken, obviously, only one possibility is the truth. That's what's happening with the alpha particles. Since we can't know when they were emitted or where, we only know the probability that they'll impact the jar.
but if you extrapolate this basic concept to basically anything, it's just ridiculous. I can't know if 2 plus 2 equals 4 until I do the math to find out if 2 plus 2 equals 4. And I can't know if the next time I add 2 plus 2 together equals 4. And because who knows, it might be a different answer next time I do it. I can't know if my bank account has $1 million because I haven't checked my bank account today. So maybe tomorrow I'll check my bank account and it'll have $1 million in it. Like, sure, things are possible, but that doesn't inherently mean things are in a super state of superposition, I believe is what it's called.
Because we can't observe anything that's happening in the box, that becomes the entire system.
While science is definitely about observing facts, it's almost a dogmatic religious belief that if we cannot, with our current understanding and technology, observe something, then it literally doesn't exist.
In other words, the box is like the atom. We don't know how the cat's life or death situation has resolved itself until we look at it.
And frankly, perhaps if I actually spent the time to try and understand and learn the papers and the theories around this, it might make more sense. But when given to a layman, this concept really is much more fair for sci-fi than it should be.
Until we do, it's just a bunch of possibilities. Do you get it? If the cat in the box is possibilities,
Then it's both alive and dead.
right?
You also run into the problem of what is alive and what does dead even mean. Scientifically speaking, you have to have
Let's
a
open the lid.
hard definition.
And when we do, all the possibilities will collapse into a single truth.
See, and that once and for all really is what I would have liked to see, is that once we got one of these endings, it would have just shown a collapse animation in which several other branches just close off and it says you don't need to see these branches anymore. Or frankly, you probably wouldn't get Clover's ending until you had seen a bad ending somewhere else. So yeah, that would have been nice.
Meow. What a relief, huh? Looks like the cat's alive. Anyway, that's Schrodinger's cat.
See, that's like another 20 minutes of
Many
time.
World's interpretation is one theory for explaining that weirdness.
So there's another world out there that where the cat died.
Yeah, that's the idea. Looks like that cat tick of yours cleared up.
Yeah. Well, your story was pretty insane. You don't think so? Just the idea of something being alive and dead at the same time. And if the moment of the lid is open determines whether or not the cat's dead, then it's almost like events in the future can determine the past. I mean, the cat doesn't die when you open the lid, so it must have already been dead.
Exactly. You've experienced it, haven't you?
What on earth are you talking about?
Think back. Remember round 2 of the AB game? When you chose betray, what was my vote?
Ally.
But what happened this time?
I chose ally and you chose betray.
Right. And both times, I put in my vote a full minute before the deadline. When did you push the button?
Right before the
I
deadline.
see. Well, that makes this a little easier to explain. If you chose betray, then my vote was ally. If you chose ally, then my vote was betray. But I made my choices a whole minute before you made yours. Don't you think that's strange?
Yeah, I do think it's extremely strange, and the story clearly is just written
You
to
see
do
what I'm
that.
saying, don't you?
My choice in the future altered your action in the past.
From your perspective, there's no other way to interpret it.
I would have liked a better explanation. Now that I thought about it, round 1 had been the same. When I'd chosen ally, Alice had chosen betray. And when I'd chosen betray, she'd done the opposite.
Look at this die. I found it over there. Let me give you one last example.
Do we really need another example? Like, honestly, this should have been the first path with like no break at all. This should have been one of the first paths within the first 4 or 5 runs. They should have found a way to force us to have this conversation. And then we could have easily forgotten about it for more important factors like the bombs, which I'm totally forgetting about right now.
All right.
Also, it's kind of funny he's not mentioning the dead lady. He's apparently just forgotten about her in this timeline.
What number is the die on?
Alright, well, let's see. Is there a number here that makes more sense to go with? I'm gonna go with 3. I have a feeling it's 3.
Good job.
I wonder if it always would have been the same, been 3, or if I got really lucky there, or if it's just always the same thing you did. If it is always the same thing you did, then we know this very blurry, ugly dice was rendered and animated 6 different
You
ways.
got it right.
That was just a fluke.
Wasn't it?
Huh?
Let's think about what was going on before I opened the lid. What number was the die on?
3, of
Haven't
course.
you been paying attention? The die is still a collection of atoms, isn't it? I don't think you can reasonably suggest that it was made of some different kind of matter.
Wait, so you're saying that before you opened the lid, the die was on all the numbers?
That's one way to look at it, at least.
This is making an argument that Sigma should go to Vegas after this.
Or it might have become that number when you declared which one it was.
Huh? Wait, what do you mean?
Your choice in the future has an effect on the past.
That's crazy. They should have probably had Phi just say that sentence at the beginning of the game and
Anyway,
hint at it.
That's all I wanted to say. We got a little off topic there, but I think I made my point.
Had we started the game way back up here in the first novel section before we even did the escape room, where Phi had first thing out of her mouth says your choice in the future affects the past, that could have been something that we mulled over mentally as we had done the vast majority of the game, and it really wouldn't have affected too much because it would have just made Phi mysterious and suspect.
Reality separates off into an infinite number of branches for each and every possibility. You and I seem to be able to jump from branch to branch. Of course, our bodies aren't doing the jumping.
I also have to make an argument here that if there are infinite number of realities, why is there not a close to 50% like really successful people on the planet Earth versus really unsuccessful people? Like at a certain point, you have to make an argument that we are in one alternate reality where oligarchs and super rich people have been able to consolidate money and power and disenfranchise poor people way more, where in an alternate reality it might be more equitable. And I find that kind of hard to believe.
Our consciousnesses just sort of dive into other versions of ourselves in other worlds.
At a certain point, this is making an argument for the like opposite of determinism, which I guess you would just call chaos, in the idea that you can't control, that you could control a lot of things, but everybody controls a lot of things, so it's still just chaos. I think that's what I meant to say. I'm not sure. Yeah. It makes, there definitely is an argument, whatever it's called, to say if everything is controllable and everybody is trying to control everything, then almost nothing is truly controllable or predictable. Whoa. I think I get it now. That's how you knew my name, right? You jumped in from another world. That's how you knew all those other things you shouldn't have known.
That's the best I can figure out, at least. Unfortunately, it seems like we don't retain all our memories when we jump.
That definitely seems to be the case, or at least it seems like you don't retain them immediately, but slowly you might get them back.
Maybe we only remember particularly important things. I'm not sure how it works.
Maybe only remember random things. I still wouldn't be surprised if there was literally just a facility and Sigma and Phi were robots, and they were just getting new bodies and their memories were getting uploaded to the new bodies. I wouldn't even be surprised if there was actually like 9 different Nevada facilities that all look exactly the same and on the inside and outside, and it really isn't alternate realities at all.
But whatever the reason, it seems to be fairly limited.
Although, at a certain point, if you're going to have a Nonary Game series, and this being the sequel to the series, they really should have just established this is what Nonary Games are going to be about. You're always going to be in a time loop. You're always going to Groundhog Day it, and you're always going to try and find the right ending. And it's, from that perspective, very crazy to even bother to have to explain this once again, in particular explain it so late in the game, because there's really no good reason to say somebody should have played this game versus 999. You definitely should have played 999 first. It would have been easier, at least, and oddly shorter in runtime.
And often, we don't seem to remember jumping at all. Things will just sort of pop up.
That's why when someone asks us how we know X, all we can think of saying is, I just knew. What's causing this then? I don't remember ever doing this before, so why would it start now?
If we knew that, I don't think we'd be having so much trouble. It's just...
The only reason I could see that they are jumping to different realities is the antimatter bombs going off and affecting them. Just
well,
what?
Pretty sure it has to do with why we're locked up in here. There's no way this doesn't have something to do with whatever Zero Senior's trying to do.
They've completely dropped the ball as far as trying to figure out who Zero Senior is.
Why would he have left that Schrodinger's cat book in the crew quarters?
You aren't kidding, are you? Maybe this is some sort of huge Schrodinger's cat experiment, and all 9 of us are locked up inside the box right meow.
What if you've got it backwards?
Backwards?
We're outside of the box, and the rest of the world is inside.
That's an interesting thought, that there might be an ending where we get outside of this facility and it's not infected with Radical 6. Then the moment we step out of this place...
Yeah, we might be determining the history of the world outside.
See, that just sounds ridiculous. No way. I had 1,000 other questions, but before I could open my mouth to ask them, somebody's gonna run in and disrupt us and get us back on track, as usual.
There you are.
Clover's still alive, apparently.
Did something happen?
Yes. We found it.
Found what?
What do you mean, what? What else could we find? The bomb. The other antimatter bomb. The number 2 bomb is in the control room.
So it's in the control room. That would have been a good place to guess. Certainly. Is this it?
Yeah.
We don't have the number 2
This is
code,
one
I
of
don't
them, all
believe.
right.
And it's the number 2, apparently. Well, at least we've found them all now.
No, there could be more. Like Kay said, there might be a number 4 bomb out there. We have no way to know.
Dot, 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 dot. Did you tell anyone else about this, Clover?
Well, not really. But, I wasn't the first person to find it.
Who was?
Kay and Luna?
Where's Dio in this story? How can Dio just be so missing and nobody's mentioned him?
After they found it, they came to the infirmary and told the rest of us.
Who was in the infirmary?
Tenmyoji and Dio were there.
Yeah, I don't know why Dio's just staying in the infirmary this time.
So were Alice and Quark, of course. Although they were still asleep.
So everyone who wasn't asleep knows about the bomb. I see.
Yeah.
How would Dio have been able to plant it if he had been in the infirmary the whole time? That's the question. There's nobody else here, though. Where'd they all go?
After we came here to look at the bomb, they all left. They were going to go look for you two.
What about Alice and Quark?
They're the same. Still sleeping. We checked them out just to be sure, but they seemed fine.
That's good. Fine, they looked at one another and let out a small sigh of relief.
Oh, right. I checked everybody's bracelets when we were in the infirmary. Did you want to know what they were?
Sure. I don't think we're making it through the white doors anyways. Took only a moment to explain. Alice was a green solo, and Quark was a blue solo. I guess this is Dio's wrist. Dio's bracelet made him a yellow pair, and Tenmyoji was a cyan pair. It's kind of ridiculous to put Dio in a ringleader outfit and then not show the ringleader sleeve when you show his wrists. So what are our options for
The
groups?
next set of doors to open are going to be the white doors. That means we'll have to mix our colors so that we get white.
Which means you really don't have a choice. If I laid out what that would mean. Honestly, I think they're going to go through the white doors and find out that it's all the same room. If there even is an escape room at all, I wouldn't be surprised if the white doors just open and there's just some star keys sitting behind them. Option A, Fine Tenmyoji Cyan would pair up with me, red. Kay and Dio would pair up with Quark. And Clover and Luna would pair up with Alice. Is that an option that's fine? Because we know not to trust. We know not to trust Dio, and Quark would be potentially asleep, and so would Alice. Phi has 9, but Tenmyoji has 1, so there's kind of not a good argument there. We could ally and bring Phi's number higher, but that's not going to probably bring us close to everybody having 9.
Huh? There's only one option?
Yeah, I think there's only one option ever in this case.
Yeah. Any other combinations don't make white.
What about Alice and Quark? Luna said it's going to be a while until they wake
We'll
up.
just have to carry them. The secondary doors won't open without 3 bracelets. And if we can't open them...
Yeah, we'll all get penalized.
Exactly.
Don't worry
Are you saying you can carry her?
Yeah. Well, I can get Luna to help me.
True. I'm sure she'd be happy to help.
What about Cork?
He's on Kay's team. There shouldn't be any issues there.
And then, well, we still need to figure out what we're going to do about this bomb. Al said we should be safe as long as it's not triggered with the remote.
Maybe, but we can't just leave them here forever. I mean, if they go off, then everything in like a couple 100 kilometers is gonna get fried.
Wait, a couple 100 kilometers? What are you talking about? The bomb should only have about as much explosive power as a ton of TNT, which is nothing to sniff at, but it's nowhere near the kind of yield you're talking about.
Could be. What if these bombs are just like the detonator?
Oh, you mean there might be a bunch more anti-hydrogen around here somewhere? Yeah, right over there.
The reactor.
Yeah. There are supposed to only be 18 antimatter reactors in the whole world.
Interesting that they limit themselves to 18 in the entire world, but I guess that probably won't affect anything.
That's one of them. Then there's a lot of anti-hydrogen.
How much is a lot?
3.5 kilograms.
3.5? It's like 10,000 times more than Alice's 350 milligrams.
There really is that much. And if it does explode,
Then we would be looking at an explosion roughly 10,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
No, that's insane.
Wait, Clover, how did you know that?
know what?
Yeah, how do you know that, Clover? She'll probably just have figured it out in some timeline.
That stuff about antimatter reactors.
Well, that's, during my training,
Training for what?
my job?
Oh, of course. I didn't realize waiters these days needed to memorize how many operational antimatter reactors there were worldwide, or how much fuel each one of the reactors might be storing. You don't work at a cafe, do you?
Hear about that from Alice?
Yeah.
Well, she's right then.
And why are you using antimatter reactors at a cafe?
That's, what we call the coffee machines.
What? Are you effing with
I'm
me?
telling you the truth.
No, she
I work
isn't.
at a cafe. It just might, be a kind of fake job to divert attention. I call it a cover.
Oh, so she really does work at a cafe as a cover.
Then
What?
what's your real job?
I'm sorry. I really can't tell you anything else.
Why not?
It's classified.
Classified by who?
Government?
The government.
Government?
Which government? That's right. Alice said it was her job to eliminate enemies of the state or something. So you two do work together.
Oh no! Check your bracelets. How much time do we have left?
See, real pointless to have this like tease. And sure, I know that there's a possibility you wouldn't have seen Clover's ending or Alice's ending by this point. And so they felt a need to tease that. But they've completely not tried to tease any kind of resolution as far as Dio's ending in a lot of these, or Kay's ending much at all. What are you talking
How long
about?
until the doors open? Come on, quickly!
Damn, we're supposed to have met up 5 minutes ago.
I'm heading back then. Remember, we're supposed to meet at the infirmary. You guys hurry back, okay? Bye!
Hey, you haven't. Damn it. Yeah, these little tease answers, and she's gone. Fine. She's right, you know, we need to get going.
Hold on. I need to check something really quick.
Oh, what? Well, whatever she checked apparently wasn't shown, so we just move to the
There
infirmary.
you are. You're late. What were you doing?
Nothing.
When we arrived, everyone else was already back. Yeah, it does feel like Dio, for one reason or another, has been just trapped in this infirmary, and I don't know why he would have chosen to be trapped in the infirmary. Alice and Cork hadn't left, of course. They were both sleeping soundly. Any traces of the madness we'd seen earlier long gone. Honestly, I don't know how you write a story where there's at least a couple in a past where Alice is going to be laying down and you're still going to stick with that character design. Unless, well, I could see a reason here. Like, Japanese games love to announce themselves way earlier than they should. So perhaps they put out a character design sketch of Alice in this outfit very early that got the fans very hyped, and they just got committed to having to use that sketch throughout the whole game. At a certain point, I still think you could have probably solved this easily by putting a blanket over them, and then you can also save yourself on just polygons. Traces of the madness we'd seen earlier long gone.
Clover told us. You've seen the bomb in the control room.
Yeah, still not sure how Dio planted it. Yeah, with our own
What
eyes.
should we do? That makes 3 bombs.
Well, we have to do something. They're bombs, for God's sake.
There's a quick and simple solution.
Really?
Remember what Alice said?
There should be an emergency deactivation password. If you enter that password, the device should, well, deactivate. You see it? Right here. There's a port.
I feel like maybe we search everybody, but we
If can
won't
find
find
password to
the
device. We just connected here.
we won't find the device on the right person if
Then we can enter the password.
So, if we have the password, we can deactivate them?
Whoa, hold on a second. That's great and all, but we need that password input device she was talking about. Without that, we're still boned even if we did have the password.
Not a problem. We've resolved that issue.
Huh?
Show them.
I nodded and pulled it out of my pocket.
That was in the safe in the control room.
Exactly. We didn't have any idea what it was at first, but I figured it out. After Clover left, we tested it.
Turned out I was right. It fit perfectly.
Couldn't get it to do anything though. We plugged it in a couple of random characters, but all we got was an error.
Still,
I'm
sure
surprised
this
the
is
bomb
thing
wouldn't
Alice
have
was talking
exploded
about.
by typing in the wrong
Just
thing.
didn't have the right password.
But why was it in the control room?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Do you think Zero Senior put it here for us?
That would suggest it was also Zero Senior who set up the bombs.
Doesn't that seem odd, though? Zero Senior wants us to play the Nonary game, right? So why would he set bombs?
That's a
Maybe
good
he wants to
question.
blow this whole place up if someone commits some crazy violation of the rules?
That doesn't make sense. Our bracelets already have poison in them. If someone breaks a rule, all he has to do is activate their bracelet.
See, and at this point, in a couple of timelines, it would almost make sense for Zero Jr. to just straight up kill Dio, instead of keeping him in the game and allowing him to play. Yeah, you're right. Here we have Clover and Timoji scratching their heads in a very similar pose. Dot, dot,
Well,
dot, dot,
whatever
dot,
the
dot.
case is, there's one thing we can be sure of.
I really hate that there's a defibrillator on the wall and nobody is willing to even consider shocking themselves to stop their heart.
The person who set these bombs is one of us. Whether or not that person is also Zero Senior isn't particularly relevant at the moment. But what is relevant is that they know the deactivation password.
So are we going to get one more password here?
If we can figure out who that person is and question them,
We can get the password and turn the bombs off.
exactly. That would be my quick and easy method. So fess up. Which one of you set the bombs?
This would be funny if Dio confesses.
Not that I expect you to do that. So, we're going to be checking everyone.
Checking us?
Yes. Once they're set, the bombs are controlled by a remote. It stands to reason that whoever set them has that remote.
So you're gonna search us for it?
Yes. But
So this would be the time where the second she even suggests that, Dio's hand was probably already in his pocket, ready to press the button.
buts. If you refuse, that implicates you. Do what I say and you'll be fine, assuming you are actually innocent. Understand? No reason to wait. Let's get started. Anyone want to volunteer to go first? No? All right. Let's see.
You should probably have Kay searched first and then say, Kay, come over here and search me. At any point here, there's also a problem. And see, that was a glitch. So I wonder if, did we potentially hit another lock section? It doesn't seem like the flow is indicating that. But yeah, if you search K and he's not implicated, then K searches you, then K's armor and his ability is not really a question there, that you try to overpower somebody and activate the bomb. Also, Phi's leaping ability and strength would not be a problem either. And so you have two of the potential strongest people in the group. There's also a possibility here that Dio was in the infirmary hiding the activator on Alice or Cork, and that's why he couldn't leave the infirmary. You only need to search one person.
Why?
Because I figured out who did it. And I know who did it. The words were out of my mouth before I'd even realized I was saying them. So yeah, this is another timeline jump.
How can you... There's no way.
Yeah. I met Phi's gaze with and nodded, then turned away. I know who set the bombs. A person. And see, here we can flash back to a lot of them. And it'd be funny if you got it wrong. Is you. And see, this is new art. And this is flat 2D art. So, once again, they were going to do 2D art at some point. And then broke the budget to go to 3D. Dio.
Come on, what is this?
But
Are you high?
unless they keep the thing near him, it still activates the timers. And so you've got to knock him out or something. Well, we're about to find out. Sorry, Kay, but could you hold him down?
Well...
It's on him, I promise.
Get off, Sigma. You're doing this all backwards.
So, this isn't a court? Besides, all we want to know is who set up the bombs. And why are you getting so worked up anyways? If you're innocent, then a search will show that I'll look like an idiot.
That's some bullshit totalitarian logic. I don't think so.
It's funny that the leader of a totalitarian cult would make that argument, but
What
whatever.
are you even basing this on? How do you know I set the bombs?
Because
Spit it out.
I know about the Myrmidons,
The Mirmo what?
which they've not even mentioned in this timeline.
Beg your pardon?
No. How do you know that, Sigma?
Oh, that's not all I know. I know about the Frida Soul, and I know about Brother.
What are you talking about?
I can tell you the details later. But there's no question that you were the one who set up the bombs.
The fuck do you think you are? None of that has anything to do with me. I don't know who the Myrmidons are. And I don't know what Free the Soul is. And I certainly don't know anything about some old fart called Brother.
This would be funny if we search him and find out he doesn't have the activator, and in this timeline, he actually is innocent. Hey, oh Dio, tell me, how does that foot taste? Who the Myrmidons are? I don't recall saying the Myrmidons were people. And what about brother? How would you know his age if I hadn't said anything besides his name?
Wait, so he's left? But that means he's a terrorist.
We didn't even mention that he was left.
Terrorist?
Oh dear.
Left?
Well, no duh. He's a terrorist. He's planting bombs. Kay is doing a bad job as far as holding him down, obviously, since he's moving to different poses.
Looks like I won't be able to talk my way out of this one. Seriously, though, when did we get so famous? The Myrmidons aren't supposed to be something anybody knows about, let alone YouTube jokers. Okay, you got me. Yes, I'm the leader of the Myrmidons. My real name is Left. I was sent here to stop Zero Senior's AB plan.
So, apparently, he knows what Zero Senior's AB plan is, which I assume stands for Ambidex, but may stand for something else.
That's why I planted the bombs.
So, there is some kind of plan to these Nonary games.
If it looked like the plan might actually succeed, I was supposed to blow this whole place sky high.
AB plan, question mark?
Well, looks like you don't know everything after all. I should have been more careful. Then again, it's not like it really matters. After all, you're gonna die here.
What?
God damn it, no. Leap toward him.
Whoa there. Better not come any closer. You think I'm not prepared for this? Take one step and it'll be your last.
Then
It's a slow wrap up here.
It's the detonator.
Yeah, I guess it is. Now back the fuck off.
Dio, please calm down. If you press that button, you'll die too.
Just try to keep on rushing.
So, believe me, there's plenty more where this came from.
What?
Now that we've cleared that up. Back off.
It would be funny if it was actually the action of cloning the same person over and over again that created this time loop in the alternate realities.
Come on, move it. Go, go, go.
We had no choice. Slowly, carefully, we backed away. All of us except for one. Timoji.
Hey, Grandpa. You're here and gone? I said back off.
No.
You. I'm not screwing around here.
I can see that. So why don't you do it? Go ahead. Press that button.
This is funny if Tenmyoji turns out to be Zero Senior. What?
Tenmyoji?
Something wrong? Hurry it up. I'm not getting any younger.
So has Tenmyoji figured something out?
Oh, do I sense hesitation? What's the matter, Dio? Scared. Well,
You son of a bitch.
so you were just bluffing.
Not bluffing, goddammit. You hear me? I'll do it.
Oh, I'm sure you will. But there's really something I should tell you.
So has he managed to take the batteries out of the remote?
See that detonator you're holding? It's a fake.
How could it be a fake when it wasn't a fake before?
What?
For just an instant, Dio's twitched down at the device in his hand. That was all the opening Timoji needed. He cried out as he leapt through the air. Oh, so Tenmyoji can leap through the air. Tenmyoji's leg shot out, knocking the detonator from Dio's hand. No
What happened?
good. What happened? The detonator. He doesn't have it anymore.
What? What's happening? There's a red light on it now.
Oh, you really fucked up, Tenmyoji.
So, unless right now is less than 30 minutes before the white chromatic doors open, we're going to just be in the exact same scenario we saw in a previous timeline where the bomb just goes off before we can get through the white doors and even see what's behind there.
This is what happens when you try to show off.
But we might get another password.
What?
I'm sorry. This is my fault. I didn't have time to tell you how it worked.
What are you saying?
The detonator isn't supposed to be separated from Dio. If it is, the timer on the bombs automatically activates.
Damn. How much do you know? Fine, whatever. Well, he's right. If that thing ever gets more than a meter away from me, it activates. When it does, it starts the timers on all the bombs.
See, even a meter would be fairly too close for him to hide the detonator on Quark or Alice.
So thanks to this old fart, you get to try and defuse a bunch of activated bombs on a countdown. You can go ahead and destroy the detonator if you want. Once the timers have been activated, they'll go off anyway.
How long do we have? When do they explode?
You should know, Sigma. Why don't you tell her?
30 minutes.
30 minutes? That's crazy!
Yeah.
How do we stop them?
The emergency deactivation
None of
passwords.
us know them, though.
Right, none of us know them. But there's someone who does, isn't there?
What, hoping I might spill the beans? Nice try. Unless one of you is secretly a medium, I think you're shit out of luck.
Wait, a medium?
Well, I'm out. Peace.
Wait, stop. I threw myself toward Dio and wrapped my hand around his wrist, slamming it to the floor. He struggled, but I put all my weight on it and kept his arm pinned. So in this case, we don't let him take the suicide pill. Man, I've completely forgotten about the timeline where both Kay and Dio were killed. Like, I have no idea how that one happened in the rec room. And here we have another 3D animation that played for a few frames and just immediately stopped.
Let go of me, goddammit! Get off of me! Let me go!
And far too many scenes where somebody's being held down and screaming. He continued to struggle, but I wasn't going to let him go. I shifted my weight to the free one of my hands and started trying to pry his open.
Hey! I'm not fucking around, alright? Let go of my goddamn arm!
By then, the others had run over and piled onto Dio along with me. Even then, he refused to stop. With increasing desperation, he tried to get the hand I had grabbed to his mouth.
Don't have a choice. Luna, go get the soparil.
No. If we put him to sleep, we can't get what we need out of
You
him.
think I don't know that? What other choice do we have? Every minute we spend wrestling this prick is a minute we don't have to deal with those bombs. We don't have time for this.
Arg.
What are
Poop.
you doing, Luna? Go! Right.
So this could have been an ending where everybody survived. See, here we're back to
Okay, I've
a
got
few
it.
frames of animation, same animation.
I'm ready when you are.
You can do whatever you want to me, you fucking cowards! You're still gonna die! Go ahead, tell yourselves you can fix it. Run around like idiots before you get blown to atoms. Serves you fucking right! You're gonna burn!
Oh, for God's sake. Luna, shut him up. Right. Here goes.
Yeah, unless there was some crazy way that we could actually read his mind or scan his brain. I don't know how we're gonna get a password at this through this ending. And here you have another 3D animation of Luna injecting him with Soparil. Which this is once again just terribly animated, terribly framed. You get the arm of Sigma, half of the face and body of Dio, half of the face and arm of Luna. It's a much better way to have drawn this. Or not drawn it at all, frankly. Or animated at all. It really sucks to go down a timeline like this and just feel like it's like huge waste of time. As I began to climb off of him, I finally pried Dio's hand open. There it was, just what I'd expected. A small, unassuming capsule. I didn't know what was in it exactly, but it was undoubtedly some kind of poison. I stumbled toward the sink and tossed it into the drain. How much time do we have left?
25 minutes or so, I believe.
And how much time until the white doors open?
25 minutes, the same.
So
What a coincidence.
what do we do?
Twice. We put in the password and stopped the
We
bombs.
searched Dio, but he doesn't have a note or anything with the codes on it.
Well, only one option left then.
Yeah, and that is?
Intuition. We trust our hunches.
Are you suggesting we just guess?
This would be crazy if somehow Luna, Clover, Tinmyoji, or Kay did get the other two passwords. We haven't even found a bomb 0 yet.
Well, no, but
Wait, there's another way. What is it? Before I can tell you, everyone has to promise to do exactly as I say. No questions.
So are we gonna now try and get everybody to memorize the password we do know? Because, like, we only know 2, and I only paid enough attention to know that one of them is for the number 3 bomb. So if the other code was for the number 1 bomb, which I don't think it is, it's probably the number 0 bomb code. We're missing still a number 2 bomb and a number 1 code.
What's your answer?
We all nodded.
Good. First of all, Sigma, you're coming with me. The
Right.
rest of you, listen up. I want you to take Alice, Quark, and Dio to the Floor B warehouse.
Huh?
Why?
Didn't I say no questions? Good. That's it. We're done.
that's it?
That's not explaining a lot.
Is there a problem? I seem to recall you promised to do exactly what I told you to do. Okay, we don't have much time left. Now get moving. Sigma, you're with me.
I turned without waiting and headed for the door. Are we literally just gonna go grab the 2 bombs and... well, no, we've seen 3 bombs now. Are we gonna go grab all 3 of the bombs and try and put them in an A-B room? And get them away from the control room and the second warehouse floor as much as possible? Before we could talk, we was just gone in a blink. I gave everyone else in the infirmary a quick thumbs up and a shaky smile. Take care of these guys, okay? We'll see you back on floor B before you know it. So, just trust us, right? Good. I couldn't think of anything else to say. I turned and ran after Phi. The only other thing is that we're going to go through the number 9 door and escape. We'll perhaps escape with the bombs. I mean, that's certainly a thought. Is get behind the number 9 door. Maybe that would save everybody. Like, at a certain level, these bombs obviously can't be that powerful. Otherwise, they would have been able just to plant them on the outside of the facility instead of sneaking in. Okay, so what do we do?
Get the input device ready.
All right, done. We can turn this one, all hooked up and everything.
How many minutes do we have left?
Well, they'll just go off. They'll go off when the doors open, so 21 minutes now.
That means we have 7 minutes per bomb. That includes travel time, though.
Bomb number 2 is in the control room on floor B. Bomb number 1 is also on floor B with the garden. So, where are we? Arg. It has opened up, and we kind of now know that this is the ending, where we're going to just run into a to be continued ending, and we're going to have to go further. Like, this is almost certainly the perfect ending. In particular, since nobody has died in this ending, and so much more is explained and revealed in this ending, which means then we have to go through these timelines really just to get the codes, and then we need to go back through the other timelines. And I'm still fairly confused as to why, if this is a perfect ending, why is there a secondary perfect ending that has some kind of code we need to type in, and we still haven't figured out any of that. So Arg, we just need to hurry, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what are we supposed to do? I mean, you do have some sort of plan,
It's
right?
not like I don't have one.
Then stop being so mysterious and tell me. What the hell am I supposed to do?
You need to make a jump.
You need to make a jump.
Yeah. To another world. Another history. You
I
didn't
can't.
just guess that Dio set the bombs, did you?
Hmm.
You knew it. Because you remembered it happening in another history, didn't you?
Yeah, but I don't remember all the histories because I haven't seen all the histories. I did, but that's, I mean...
Just have to do that again.
So you're saying I need to go to another history and get the password out of Dio
Doesn't
somehow.
have to be another one. It could be this one. Just go back to the past and question him. Then again, if you do that, you might end up changing things so you don't end up here. That would mean you couldn't deactivate the bombs in this history. So you have to come back to this exact moment, or...
Like I have control of any of that. Arg, damn it. This is just so confusing.
Think about it then. We don't have time anyway. Just jump.
Okay, I get it. See you later then. Are you insane? You're talking about transporting myself across space and time. Also, why should I have to do everything? Can't you jump
My
too?
jumps happen suddenly out of the blue. I can't control them.
Like I can? Can I? Neither can I.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I think the plan was better.
All right. Consider this.
Get the 3 bombs you have, open the number 9 door, toss it through. Or get everybody, open the number 9 door, toss everybody through. Hope that the bracelets don't kill them. And they fall off before they get injected. Because they said the bracelets fall off when you walk through the number 9 door. And they say the Soparil knocks you out, and then 5 minutes later, the other, the actual killing drug goes in you. So, like, if you walk through the 9 door and you didn't have 9 points, maybe you get knocked out with Soparil, but then they can drag your body and they can take the bracelet off of you, and you're still fine.
Maybe we've already jumped from another history to this one. But our memories of that history got damaged or something. We forgot most of what happened in that other timeline. If we can remember even a little bit, though. Anyway, it's just a hypothesis.
Are you saying I might already know it? I just have to try and remember it.
I feel like we know. So? Anything? We need the bomb password. Do you remember hearing it in another timeline?
I stared down at the input device. Password. The bomb password. Actually, I did remember it. I had heard it. And see, these flashback images are basically the same flashback images of 2 specific endings. So it may very well be a merger of 2 specific endings. Alright, well, they're not going to help us any at all on this, are they? LXQH. Alright, let's start with that. LXQ. I feel like I should save, but I can't, so whatever. LHC, and if you had not written this down, you would definitely be using a walkthrough right now. NMR, and hopefully I didn't misread any of my own writing. LXQ, LHC, and MR. Yeah, I think that's right.
Good job. It It worked.
Phew. I sighed and I wept what felt like a bucket's worth of sweat from my forehead.
So you knew the password after all. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess I did.
Rooted in another history?
Yeah.
Just what happened in that other timeline? Never mind. We don't have time for that. How much longer?
So now we have 18 minutes.
Good. We've still got time. Come on, let's go. We've still got 2 more. The number 2 bomb is next on the list.
So we start with 3, then we go to 2. And seemingly it's jumping us to another novel section instead of making us be in another locked section. Who planted the bomb? We're heading to the control room.
No time to waste. Oh, and don't forget the input device.
I guess you're just going to leave the bomb where it is. I hurriedly disconnected the device from the bomb and chased after her. I suppose it's slightly questionable whether it would make sense for these bombs to have any kind of input device in them at all when you have 2 different systems to make sure they go off. Particularly when you're talking about the Myrmidons and Left, who is a clone, so it would make a lot of sense for them to make bombs that literally could never be deactivated once activated. And oddly, it seems like even though we don't have the cure for Radical 6, nobody so far has been overwhelmed by it and successfully killed themselves. And pants. You're right. Yeah, right here.
Hook it up.
And they're just gonna jump.
Okay. Hurry it up. Plug in the password.
And in this case, I may know the password, I may not. Hey, what the hell?
Calm down. You probably just typed it in wrong.
No way. I'm sure I did it right. So we're getting the revelation that you need multiple passwords for multiple bombs. Yeah, nothing. That password's no
And
good.
it's different. All 3 bombs use different passwords.
Yeah, and see, that would be very frustrating to somebody who made it this far down this path in the first few runs.
Shit.
I think that's also the first time we've had another character be voice acted in a way that they cuss. I could be wrong about this, but we'll have to keep an eye out and see if that is the case, where they gave all the voice lines so that they didn't cuss, and then they made up for it by having the main character, Sigma, who isn't voice, cuss a lot. Although maybe that's not the case. Maybe there has been a lot of damage. Maybe this is just the first case of an S word. Fly slammed her foot against the locker, her face uncharacteristically twisted by anger and frustration.
This is bad. What the hell are we gonna do? Try and remember it. Did you see or hear anything in another history that could be a password? A different password?
You mean like a different history from the other one I remembered?
You figured it out there. You just can't remember it very well right now. Remember what happened with the last bomb? This one is just like that.
Dot. Another history. Password. Do I know what it is? Can I remember it? I have to. See, some of these flashbacks are different. Alright, well. Is there a possibility that I wrote down any other password ever? Beacon of Hope is almost not almost certainly not going to be it unless it's Reminiscence or Beacon of Hope. I think our only chance is that this number 2 bomb is the LXA. So we'll type that in. LXA. Otherwise we are wrong. QN5. UN. Do we think it's a 5 or is it an S? Let's go with the S. GDQ. Error. LXA. XAQ. We'll do N. And then change it to a 5. And then G. D. Q. Nope. And seemingly, since that is a 9-character code, I'm thinking we don't hit 9-character codes anyways. Beacon of Hope is actually, well, of Hope would be 6, but then Beacon would be another 6, so that's like a 11 character code, and Reminiscence is 6 plus another 6, 8, 12. Yeah, so it's 11 or 12 codes, not that. We just don't have the code. We go back. I tried over and over again, but it was no good. Each guess was wrong. No matter how I strained my memory, I couldn't remember even a letter of the bomb's password. Had I even seen or heard it in the first place? I'd seen other histories, but had I seen what I needed? If I hadn't, then it was all over. If I couldn't control my jumps, then what good were they?
Sigma, just let it go. Our time's up. This is it.
We got 2 minutes.
Before it ends.
This is the point, I think, where she'll hug you and say thanks.
I wanted to tell you thanks. You knew we were about to die, but you still stuck with me.
It would have been smarter to grab the bombs and try and move them, I think.
A lot of people wouldn't have done that. You're a good person.
So this is the ending we've seen.
There's one more thing. I'm glad I met you. The moment I saw you, you seemed familiar. Anyway, thanks.
And see, this very well may be the way the story actually ends, where it's just virtue's last reward of being a virtuous people is that you and Phi, or maybe just you, end up dying.
The others will make it. There isn't much hope for us, though.
Don't you dare say goodbye. We'll meet again, somewhere, somewhen. I guarantee it. We can jump through parallel worlds. We can change history. You see, this won't end here. I won't let it. This is just the beginning.
Sigma.
Yeah, once again, this would have been a decent first path to force everybody down, or even a second or third path. Like, particularly if it actually ends you, like, at the first lock, the first time you play it. That would have been fine. Because then you would have had to have thought of Phi as a bad girl throughout the whole story. And that would have been a decent red herring. Suddenly I felt Fi's face against my chest. I put her arms around her and held tight. Then, and them being specifically in the control room might explain their time jumps. Also, the eclipse might explain their time jumps. Everything went dark. When I came to, I was floating in a field of nothingness. And I don't know why more and more we're getting the gray backgrounds on text. I feel like the game potentially is visually glitched. Right, so then we can overwrite that. That was not a special ending. So this one's deactivate bomb number 2. This is deactivate bomb number 3, so we know where we are going there. And so we'll have to jump back. In this case, we chose the red door. And so instead, we're going to have to jump all the way back this way now to see the other timelines, which we need to see them. And we're going to have to now just less recursively and more just filling in the gaps, go and see all the other remaining timelines. What we didn't get is a way to survive with 5 minutes of life. So I feel like you still have a decent chance in which we go through this timeline or this timeline before we unlock this timeline.
5 minutes.
Hey, the doors are open.
We need to figure out who's gonna go through which door.
Well, what are options this time?
I'm only saying this just like the last time. We've got 3 possible combinations.
And see, you definitely have a problem with Fi as a character, in the sense that she's annoying 90% of the time in the timelines. So, we have option A, option B, and option C. And for some reason, option A is not really acceptable.
3 minutes.
And Alice is back around. It's been a while since we've seen her talk.
Well, you decided the first time, right? Then can I decide this time? I think I deserve it. I only have one beat. Doesn't it seem like the fair thing? Wouldn't you agree?
That means
So this then boils down to a guess.
The green door, and I want to go with.
I see. Option B, then. That means 10 mio. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
why? If we go through there, are you really?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You said you didn't trust
Still haven't heard anything about Tin Miyoji.
This will give me the I've been wanting to pair up with that. Something I want to talk to you.
Oh,
We'll get to that later.
Anyway, if Alice is.
yes.
What about the rest of you? Is that okay too?
We went through option B, then Luna and I would go through the red door with Fi. As far as how I felt about that. We said yes before, we'll say no. No, that's not okay. Because
Oh no. Which door do you want then? The only other choices are A and C.
thought about it again. If I went through A, Luna and I would end up paired with Clover and we'd go through the green door. On the other hand, if I chose C, we'd be going through the blue door with Alice. So which one did I want? Decide to go with. Well, obviously, this branch doesn't really let you pick. Somebody's gonna say no. So I'm just gonna pick the first one. And if it turns out that there is some weirdness where we actually have to rewind on some of these branches, that would be irritating to figure that out for sure. I want option A. We'll take Clover and go through the green door.
Power to just decide that.
That's fine by me. Like I said before, there's something I want to talk to Alice about.
Are you going to tell me what this thing is?
That'll have to wait. Talk to me again on the other side.
Oh, now I'm curious.
So you're fine with this, Alice? With option A, I mean?
Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Are there any other objections?
We're running out of
That's it
time.
then. Let's go, everybody.
10 seconds.
So everybody was allowed to go through option A,
Doors closed.
which was that the green door?
9, 8, 7.
It would have been weird if I went through the blue door a second time. And I quickly went another and split up. Tim, LGDO, and Alice headed toward the red door, while Kay, Quark, and Fi made ourselves towards the blue one. Oh man, I did pick the blue door. Nope. I gave him all the green door bounced in front of me as Clover, Luna, and I ran towards it.
2, 1.
There probably is a solution where going through the blue door a second time might make sense, but
Chromatic doors closing.
I'm not sure the game's gonna let that happen. That'd be very weird. It would really just break the whole logic for sure. And going through the green door, we should be able to see the archives.
Is this a dead end? All 3 doors seem to be locked. There's some kind of device over here. I wonder what it is. It looks like the thing next to the number 9 door.
Clover, try pulling that lever.
I have to do it.
And see, I think we're gonna get into a fight again where Luna pulls the handle, and then that'll bring us to the archives, which I think that pretty much indicates that we've been to each of the escape rooms for the second round, which leaves us with just not much left. Like 3 more rooms behind the white doors, or 1 room behind the white doors, and then 2 final rooms later on. I'm really confused though about where the security room is. It's way down here, right? Yeah. So we have yet to see any other escape room even begin to unlock. Even down here. Might be dangerous. I was hoping you could just wrap your hands around it and give it a good jerk. It's kind of big, but I'm sure you can handle it. Just be gentle. Is this another perverted line of dialogue? It sounds like it.
This doesn't seem like appropriate workplace behavior. You're kind of grossing me out.
I'm glad she calls him out on that. I know you probably still think of yourself as just a girl, but you have to become a woman
You're not making it any better. Why don't you do it?
If you can't take it, maybe Luna can. Have you done this before? You just start at the base. Oh man, this is getting really, really pornographic at this point.
What is wrong with you? If you're so desperate to give that lever a good time, why don't you do it yourself? Just leave me and Luna out of your sick fantasies, you creep.
Fine, but I won't like it. I sighed heavily and flipped the switch with as much languid disdain as I could manage. See, this doesn't make sense though. Why would this open the left door if it's me who pulled it? Because I was thinking the doors were opening based on the person who pulled the handle. Now, I think the doors must open to the left simply based on whatever door you were in before, or just some decision you made before, or randomness, frankly.
One of the doors opened. Yeah, just the one on the left. We might as well go through it.
Yeah. Maybe we should try flipping it one more time though. I think you could actually manage it with just one hand, Clover. Just do it really fast. It'll only take a second, just up and down once.
You are disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna follow us for the entire archive room. But The suggestion there, unfortunately, was not embraced, and I really would have liked to see somebody pull the handle twice and see if something else happened, if another door opened. A different person pulling it a second time. If nothing happened at that point, that would have been great. It would have been very easy to have in one timeline, the very first timeline you play, somebody try that and realize nothing happens. Huh?
So this is the archives. That's what it said on the door after all, but yeah.
I have to remind myself too to use the special code first.
Books and stuff everywhere.
Maybe we can find some clues in here. Alright, let's split up and have a look around. Alon Y? I think that was supposed to be Alon Z, the reference to a phrase that one of the doctors in Doctor Who was using, which might be a phrase a lot of people use. Alright, well, we see a doll up here. Isn't there something up there? What is it? I can't see from down here. Alright, well, looks like these books are in Latin. Can you read it? No. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize for that. What about you, Clover? Of course not. Alright. Here we have a blue book. One of these things is not like the other. You're right, it's a different color. Let's have a look. So we have a blue book. It says the title is The Stairway. There's something written on the back cover of the book. Spinning this around so you can actually read it. It's gonna be a pain. Go up A052. We have a red book. There was a library in the previous game also, and it was very late at the end of the game, and it really felt like just an extra room that was unnecessary. By the time I had hit the library in 999, I felt like there would have been a lot of puzzles that could have been left on the cutting room floor. It also would have fixed the problem that we're seeing now, where it's just very repetitive, the same rooms. If they were to make a third Nonary game in this series, you'd almost certainly expect the exact same rooms to show up with perhaps slightly different puzzles, but not that interesting of different puzzles. Maybe we should take it with us. So now we have the stairway B0630. And we have an orange book here. And lion. And to the sun is D073. Okay. Over here we have a screwdriver. Maybe it's useful if you're reading some deconstructionist literature. What? And then we have a dice, which apparently is loaded. And then a 50-gram weight. If you put it in a snowball, you can get some extra. That's not what I meant. So, just trying to grab as many things as possible. Some blue ink. Well, I guess the mystery of the dark blue liquid is easier to solve than I thought. Looks like the sort of ink you use with a dip pen, but I don't remember seeing anything like that. Then again, I suppose you could use it for a lot of different things. Here we have some notebook paper. Some faint lines on the paper. Must be notebook paper. I don't see any notes on it though, so we could potentially use like a pencil. Let's see if we can merge the dice together. Nope. Here we have a music box. There's no music coming for the box. Guess it's just a box. We'll see a spring. Maybe you should check the movement. The movement? Sorry, movement means the internal pieces of that actually make it work. Like the cylinder here. Unfortunately, it looks like it's been fixed in place with a Phillips head screw. It'd be funny if we've been letting Luna do all this nursing stuff, and it turns out she has like a... She said she had a medical license of some sort, which that wouldn't be musical. So I took the screw off and I got a cylinder, and then maybe the cylinder is what's important. I feel like we did almost the exact same puzzle here before. We cover the cylinder in ink. Then we use the cylinder on the paper. Just need to roll across the paper, and there we go. Pattern described. You found the report. To review it, visit the archive. So let's go ahead and see what the report says. It says draw this picture. Okay. And we have a small computer terminal. Let's see, what else do we need? Got a green dice. Probably won't be able to force this open, but no harm in trying. Nope. I didn't think that'd work. Guess we have to open the lock if we want to open the box. Well, oh well. Did you see the die on top? Oh yeah, that's totally a die. You're making it sound any less suspicious. Well, it's perfectly ordinary. I'm not even reading half the dialogue at this point. We're just trying to rush through all of this. Okay. There's a blue slot here. You think you're supposed to put something in it? It's an awfully small hole. What we'd be putting in it? Let's see. It looks like some chart. It says management numbers. What do you think that means? Well, pretty much the only things that anyone's going to manage in this room is books. It's got the letters A, B, C, and D, and the numbers 1 through 8 vertically. Maybe they're referring to bookshelves in front of us. Well, the bookshelves have 8 rows, and so does the chart. And there's a narrow bookshelf on either side, and the wider ones in the middle. Yeah, they're shaped like the diagram on the chart. Right. So it's A, B, C, and D, and then down to the bottom. So if I was to go over here, then this would be A something. A5 would be the stairway. Or is it go up? I'm just gonna put this here, and we'll just see how this works. And like it seems like you really just moved the two colors around. So this one should be C. Where's the slot here? Unless there's some other slot somewhere I'm not seeing. It'd be crazy if this unlocks everything. 5th row, rightmost shelf. 4th row. So you can see all kinds of options. What was that? I think it came from the other side of the wall. No, that wasn't the wall. It came from the bookshelf. What's happening? It seems like a very overly simplified puzzle, which I can't really hate it, but it's so too late in the game for that. It sunk. I guess it was one of those trick bookshelves where you put the right things in the right place, and it does stuff. It's like a staircase. Well, if they were nice enough to give us stairs, we should climb them. And then the top is a lot more narrow than I thought. Should I go? Well, with a big skirt like that, it might be kind of dangerous. Oh, if I just hike it up, I think I should be. And I think there's somebody down on all fours trying to not look like he's staring up towards the bookshelves. So once again, I'm getting outed as a pervert. Sigma, what are you doing? I lost the contact. You don't wear any. Ow. You climb. Okay. A doll. Okay. That's the only, that's the only thing that's up here. I guess I might as well take it. Huh? Can't really go any further. It's a dead end. Are you done yet? Was there anything up there? Yeah, I'm heading back down now. So they had to make a special animation just to get the doll. Would have been easier to simply have the shelf shake a little bit and have the doll fall down instead of the shelves come down and give you stairs. So did you find anything? No puzzles or anything like that? Just this stuffed animal. Yeah. So we'll look at this. Hee hee. That's a funny looking dog. Dog? I'm pretty sure that's a lion. This is a lion? It doesn't really look like one. Nah, it's a lion. Oh, hold on. There's a zipper on its back. Let's see what's inside. You get a memory card. There you go. This was inside the lion. And that's the end of the lion. Like, you could have also just had, when you push the books in the right place, it just knocked the doll downward. See, and I feel like this is potentially just going to give us the code. There's a blue slot in the stand. Let's see what happens when we put it in here. What's going on here? It's showing the dice. I wonder what the puzzle is. Well, there's only one way to find out. Roll the 6 dice to move them to where they need to go. Choosing which dice you would like to move by selecting it, you can roll it vertically or horizontally using the directional buttons. Okay, well, then this one can only go this way. Then one wouldn't have really worked. Damn, I don't get it. Yeah, I think there's probably more to this that we need to figure out first. Let's see if we can place a red dice here. Put things on both sides, you can compare them, but do we have anything, actually have anything to weigh? Well, the scale had a die and a weight on it, so when we found it, you've got 3 dice. So we should try to figure out what they weigh using this weight. Press A button and use the left stick to place the dice where you want them. Press the check button on the scale to compare weight. See, and this looks like a completely different flat 2D animation of the scale system that we saw in the botanical garden. And I don't know why you would have had this exact same puzzle done twice and then animated twice. That seems like a waste of development budget. When the scale is activated, check button switches to the reset the button. Select the reset button to move another measurement. When you're done weighing things, select the back button to leave. So it doesn't seem like there's really even a actual answer here. Right, this is more than 50 grams. So this is more than 50 grams, and this. But this is lighter than 50 grams. It's exactly 50 grams. Okay. So, is this, and then this, since we now know it's red, green, blue, equal? Yes, we do know that. So if this is red and a 50 ground makes this 100, so if this is 100 and then this is heavier, is this 150? Yes, it is. So we've got 50 red, 100 green, 150 blue. I don't think the scale is going to unlock a box when we fill a certain condition or something. Certainly doesn't look that way. I think all we're supposed to do is weigh things. And see, this is the exact same 3D model as in a botanical garden, so I don't understand the you just need the right 5-digit number. Okay, so 100 plus a 150 would be 250 times 50 would be, well, times 250 times 5 would be 125, so 12,500. 12,500. Let's try that. See if I can. Where's the check button? This is 50. This is 100. This is 250. That would be 350, not 250. So, in that case, 350 should be 15. And then another 25 should make it 75. Am I off by something? I think I might be. Either I'm off or I misweighed things. 50 plus what was 100 plus 150, right? It doesn't feel like there's a check button here. Erg, no luck. Come on, you can do it. Am I doing the math wrong? Let's try this again. Red is 50. And then green is 100. And then 150 is this, which would make 250, which should be alright, 250 times 50 would give you 1 in that spot, and then 25 in that spot. That should be the right answer. Because obviously it's not supposed to just be something like 5 times plus 5 is 10, plus that is 500. Because, well, that would be funny answer. I don't think that's the answer. Where is the check button? Enter the correct to open the dock, then select the dial once to activate it by 1 notch, to advance it by 1 notch. And if I'm off, then I am so far off. I don't think the idea was to line up the answer somewhere else other than the center. That would be kind of crazy. But we can certainly cycle through all those and see if that's the case. It definitely feels like this is one of those instances where the game could certainly be a bit kinder and throw us a bone. Let's see. 250. Maybe I am just off by a factor of 10. Let's see how that would be the case. Because I'm multiplying by 50 instead of 5. Hey, maybe I'm doing the math wrong. Maybe since this is a slightly confusing math problem, let's try this again. 50 times 100 would be 5,000. 5,000 plus 150. They needed to put it in parentheses for me to get it, and they didn't do that. There we go, unlocked. Good job. Let's open it. Oh, I wonder if this is someone's diary. Hee sounds like fun. A book with a bookmark. Nothing on the cover. I wonder what kind of book this is. Let's open it up. I can't read it. I think this is Latin. Looks that way. Well, it's not a total loss. They're bookmarks at least. Maybe we should take that. Found the bookmark, you can review it in the archive. It definitely feels like they intentionally put this in such a way that you only Fi, with her ability to read Latin, would be able to read them. If anything, this entire room is just a complete statement to Fi being an intentional character in this whole mess, whereas several other characters we really haven't seen that real solution. Like, we still don't know why K potentially is in here. We don't know why Sigma is potentially here. So we want red, then blue, then green, blue, green, and red's on top and bottom. Blue, green, alright. Should be easy enough to do. Oh man, I gotta be careful on how this whole thing works, because they want you to click and then do that, and then one assumes that's what we want. See, I feel like I feel like the 1 the answer here is not gonna be as easy as it seems, and that you could just have any number show up. But apparently that wasn't it, the answer. You did it. Good work, Sigma. That was amazing. The colors changed. Do you think? Let's take a look. Wait, is that? Yes, it's a password to the safe. Right, well, I have a question, certainly, to ask. We have dice, and then we have, that's the extra code. Even we haven't even found the escape code. Let's see. This report. 5642. Okay, I think we know what to do here. Then it's funny that they made the answer here potentially more difficult than the other one. But maybe this is the one room where they very well wanted to make sure you actually got it right. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This and 5. Is there any way we can get this right? Think so. So does it perhaps not even matter as far as the code goes? I think we're gonna have to definitely struggle with this one. 4, 2. Let's see. Just go through all this and hope that we can eventually end up with a 4, but I'm not sure we really can. Not easily. One, 6, 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 6. You know what? We'll just see if that ends up easier. Can we get to 2 easily? We may very well have the wrong codes or the wrong pieces in the wrong place for all of this. 1, 2, 3. We'll go all the way around and see if that opens up a path. Just select somebody else and okay. We're looking for 2 and a 1 and a 3. Okay. So can we get this down to 3? Almost to a 3. There we go. Can we roll this to a 1? Okay. So here's a 2. Rolled that way and that way. Then rolled that way. There's a 2. Then it's not gonna work. Not quite. Okay. So we have 3, 1, 4, 2, 6, 5. 3, 1, 4, 2, 6, 5. Which, does that mean we have to follow that pattern? Or did I just somehow stupidly fill in a pattern and that was all that it took? 5, 6, 4, 2, 1, 3. Let's try this again. Alright, we'll make sure that that's on that. And then this does not end up on 6. Would it potentially end up on 2? No. I feel like I'm gonna potentially get a pattern here that answers the requirement for one of the codes and doesn't answer the requirement for the other code. Right, so I'm gonna go with blue 6 here. Can we get a blue 6? Yes. Okay. And then next we're looking for a green 4. Can we get a green 4? Let's see. We cycled through that. Do that. Now we want a red 2, and a blue 1. Red 2, blue 1. And then green 3. And then this. Good job. Excellent work. I think this is a different password. So, they oddly made the more difficult password easier, the gold file password easier, and then the other password more difficult, the escape room password. Alright, so I don't think there's anything more to do in this room, and thank goodness they only went slightly perverted as far as this escape room went, and it didn't go crazy. But I also very much have to question, just this far in the flow, does it really make sense to be making perverted jokes and dropping the tension in that way? See, so we're looking for star, star, moon. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Also, basically no conversation here, so unless, good job Sigma, unless we get stopped and have a conversation, I don't think we can really expect any big revelation here. We have the prisoner's dilemma. Pause now if you want to read this. The bomb. Pause now if you want to read that. The detonator. Pause now if you want to read that. Let's see. And then here we have cybernetic arm, which we haven't seen anything about cybernetic arms. Device originally created to weaponize genetically engineered psychic bears. Just kidding, it's actually an arm augmented for online sex chat. No, not really. In truth, it's an arm from a mysterious libido-powered robot. Just messing with you. A cybernetic arm is actually a mechanical limb that you can control with your mind, really. It has titanium alloy for bones, and those are covered with ABT, artificial biological tissue, so I wouldn't be surprised if Phi has cybernetic legs, which then that could certainly open up a backstory where we find out that she was in some kind of accident, but we may never get that backstory. The ABT has artificial nerves and can feel pain through it just like a real arm. It has veins that connect to the rest of your body, so if you inject medicine into the cybernetic arm, it'll flow to the rest of your body. So see, that definitely feels like something that had to be explained. My guess is because at some point somebody gets injected with Soporil through a cybernetic arm. Also wouldn't be surprised if like Quark has a completely cybernetic body. Luna's necklace. The necklace Luna has never seen without it has a cage containing a bluebird hanging from it. If you twist the key at the bottom, it plays music. Someone special gave it to her as a gift, and she says it reminds her of the following lesson. Search for happiness wherever you can, because the search itself is what will make you happy. That's nice, and then at least we get a little bit of a description. We have the 3 laws of robotic from Isaac Asimov, which I imagine robots will never actually be programmed just to follow 3 laws, or specifically these 3 laws. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human to come to harm. A robot must obey orders given to it by human beings except for where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first and second law. How you'd actually program these laws makes no sense. Later on, Asimov also developed another preceding rule known as the 0th law, which first appeared in his story Robots and Empire. What's the 0th law of robots? A robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. Clearly, the 0th law has priority over the first 3, so the first law would have an unwritten addendum except when it would conflict with the 0th law. Whether or not 016 was aware of this law is unclear, but in any event, 016 did act in accordance with it. Who 016 is, we don't know. It seems like we're literally going to have a golem just walk in here and talk to us. And as far as secrets, we now know there's only 2 more secrets, which kind of means you probably aren't going to get a secret file in the final puzzle. So maybe no safe there. We also know that there's only 2 more passwords of any kind. And as far as items, we still have, oddly, several pieces of inventory that I would have thought we wouldn't have had. Let's open this and let's put in the other code and just leave the room if we can. Moon star. So that, and that. And in this case, what are we looking for? We're going to get a map as usual. We're going to get the moon Ambidex key. We're going to get the key to exit. Will we get supplemental rules, or will we get any bit of information that's written on a piece of paper or something otherwise? It opened. Good. Well done. We have to click on it to get it. So what what have we got this time? First, a map as usual. It says floor B. The one we found in the cabin said floor A. So did the map in the infirmary. Then that means floor A must be the top floor, right? We did come down on the elevator after all. So it would seem. There's more stuff in here. Oh, I know what those are. Yes, key cards. These have moons on them. These must be the moons keys the announcer was talking about then, Sigma. So this would probably be a fine time to have voice acting kick back in also. Because since this is fairly repeated dialogue, you could easily have a character like Luna say this one line and then use it in 3 to 9 different branches. We got 2, just like with the Sun Keys. As a pair of Luna, I only need 1, then I'll take the other one. So what's next? Piece of paper has something written on it. Here are some more AB game rules for you. Not voting is not an option. If both parties refuse to vote, then everybody gets penalized. In other words, one person out of every color group has to vote. In other words, we can't all abstain. We have to vote. Anyway, what else is in the safe? Only one thing, a key. Is that the exit key? Looks like it. Can we open the door? We're just gonna leave all the dice. Let's go. And I suppose in the secret escape rooms, there was one place where we pressed a button and that apparently turned on a golem. And then there were the lights in the lounge that we could click on and do nothing else with. But otherwise, we've very rarely seen any extra item that wasn't used in the escape room or clicked on anything or found anything that seemed like it was extra. So I don't know if there's really going to be a trick out there as far as going back to some place like the lounge and finding out that there's like a secret switch to open a secret panel or something. You guys ready? I'm gonna open the door. Go ahead. I'm all set. Then here we go. 3, 2, 1. We escaped. Yay. See, that puts us in a weird position again because we're going to have more conversation and like we could either play until we get to the A-B choice. So there's actually some interactivity. And then the next recording will potentially go down one path and then potentially go down another path. That really leaves us open for at least another episode to have to go down this perfect path and this secondary perfect path. I'm not sure which one is actually the right path, but I imagine it'll take us just an episode to go through here and maybe finally unlock this. So let's just go through this dialogue, and once we get to the AB room, we'll end this episode.
Is this another warehouse? It looks like it.
At least I can sit here and not have to read everything, just like the one on floor A.
There's graffiti on the wall here too. It's something different though.
It would be funny if Clover figured out what this meant, because we still haven't figured it out.
Did they make a mistake? That isn't how you spell it. They added that E to ninth, but why?
Yeah, that is
What does
weird.
it mean?
Well, I think memento mori is Latin for something, remember death, or you don't forget your mortality. The other part, I assume it's just what it says on the team.
Relating to whether or not a lion has eaten the sun?
Oh yeah.
What on earth does
See,
that mean?
that is a weird, like, Japanese translation of how you would describe this sentence.
It just seems like gibberish.
It would have been easier to jump straight to it just seems like gibberish. Whatever it means, it's beyond me.
Look at that door over there. Doesn't it look just like the one on the other floor? Yeah, but there isn't anything written on this one.
It's a big 9 on the other door. Wouldn't it be funny if opening the 9 door opens this door also? So everybody who doesn't have 9 points could have just made it to this point, then the one person who would have had 9 points pulls the handle. Both doors open at the exact same time. Both people run through it. The elevator catches up with them. They get back together and everybody escapes. I guess that means this door isn't important.
I don't see anything that looks like it might open it either.
Yep, nothing not opening.
Of course it isn't.
Of course, this is a video game and this is just animated, so it would have been very easy to not have this door here. They obviously animated this differently, otherwise it would have the number 9 painted on it again. So
Look at this thing.
either it's a red herring or it will play some part in the story eventually.
From the other side, maybe?
The other side.
Hey, what's the deal with those doors over there? The ones that are glowing white. Do you think they could be chromatic doors? There are 3 of them.
Just keep on talking, keep on jumping forward. Yeah, I think you're right. See, they've got those little boxes. These must be the next set of chromatic doors we're supposed to go through.
But they're all the same color. Well, for all the other doors, we had to add colors together to make another color. In this case, we probably just have to make white instead.
They keep making that assumption. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody would go through any door. Suddenly the voice of the announcer echoed throughout the warehouse. So somebody opened an A-B door in this case. Almost certainly Dio. And that'll be our trope to push us to run to the warehouse A.
5 minutes remain until Ambidex Game polling closes.
I would have really asked, if I was the director of this game, I would have asked Rydo to say, what would the story really feel like if we eliminated every scenario like this where people get pulled away and rushed and pulled away from the conversation they're having and rushed to play an A-B game? What if we just let every conversation happen? Because I don't think too much would have really changed storyline wise.
Someone on one of the other teams
It
must
just
have
feels
opened it.
very repetitive and
All they
tropey.
need is one of the moon keys.
Why? Why would they do that without waiting for the rest of
We
us?
can ask them when we get there. Come on.
Then we run. I guess we run a different direction, assuming we know. Well, I guess because we have the map, we know which direction would be the shortest way to go. So we went in the green door, came out the blue door. And there's literally nothing to say. It's really hard to criticize this game without just saying the exact same thing over and over again. At this point, it's all so repetitive. Fingers crossed, we've got maybe 2, maybe 3 more episodes, and we'll wrap up the story. Then there's eventually the spiritual third in the series of the Nonary Games, and then I think I would be very hard pressed to ever buy or play another game like this. And if anything, I've probably learned my lesson also on just how many visual novels in a year I could actually put up with. I'm already basically doing 1 or 2 a year with the 2 Nonary games. I don't think I can handle anymore. It would be nicer to play something like a JRPG that might be very heavy in the dialogue but also has more just action. We left through the magenta door into the warehouse. There stood Tin Miyoji, Dio, and Alice. Alice is awake in this scenario. Hey, what the hell is this? Why'd you open the AB room before the rest of us got
I
back?
haven't done anything.
Dio apparently felt he didn't need to wait.
You got a problem?
Same conversation every time.
Why? I don't remember saying anything about waiting until everyone got back to open the AB rooms.
And see, this is a scenario where you would have thought in some timeline somebody would have been able to remember and tell Dio to not do this. Are you kidding me? We didn't talk about it because we thought it was common sense.
Sigma's right. We were able to get back quickly, but the others could still be stuck somewhere.
No sooner were the words out of her mouth.
Oh, thank goodness. You're all here.
So I guess Quark collapsed. Did something happen?
It's Quark, you see.
What? What happened to Quark?
He collapsed. It happened so suddenly.
Alright, so
Please,
this is our first
to the infirmary.
drawing us to the infirmary.
You should go.
Oh no.
And it very well may be the case that Dio needed to open the AB gate first so nobody else would go into his room and see the dead body. And so this is probably going to put us in the exact same timeline scenario where we're just going to have Quark wake up
Hold of yourself.
and try and kill himself, and I'm not sure if there's any big difference here. We'll probably also see Alice
Hey,
get
what if he
infected
said, "What if you make him work?"
also, and so we'll have to put her asleep too.
Save? That seems maybe he just had.
Do we really need to go through all this?
He doesn't have anemia.
Well, then call an ambulance and stop freaking.
Son of a bitch.
The infirmary seems pretty well equipped.
If Quark's entire body was a robotic body, then maybe Quark is a lot older than he seems, and maybe that's why Tin Myoji was surprised when he was affected by Radical 6.
Plenty of diagnostic tools, but without a doctor. Luna?
And see, we didn't even
Wait, really? Is that
announce
true?
that Luna had the medical license.
Please.
Okay, I'll see what I can. It's called and it uses.
See,
Yeah,
just so much dialogue here
Just let us know if you need anything.
that we can pretty much skip all of it. And then probably about 15 minutes.
Oh no.
Yes, he's been in.
Like 15 minutes of the same conversation
Alice and Tenmyoji about it.
where we have seen this same turn of events happen in, it seems like 8 of the different branches minimum. Something about his tone seems strange. Why wasn't it possible? Had Tenmyoji known about Radical 6 before the rest of us?
There must be something we can do.
And see, we just haven't figured out that information,
We
so
cure him.
this timeline, the branches in which we see this dialogue don't seem to be changing, where it feels like maybe there is a flow here where if we had gone through some of these endings, we would know more about Tenmyoji or Quark first, and then that path, that novel section would have made more sense. See, after escape, I feel like every single one of these branches, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, has Quark getting sick.
Where is it? Shouldn't it be in the infirmary somewhere?
Yeah, we looked around, but we.
They didn't find any Alex of her.
But Eo's telling me we didn't find any.
Damn it. What about the other room? Sigma, what about you? Did you find anything?
Slightly different answer here. In the archives, no, there was just piles and piles of books and papers. Nothing even remotely like medicine there.
What about you, Kay? Was there any medicine in your room?
I'm terribly sorry. There was nothing of the sort in the garden. Plenty of vegetation, but unfortunately, no medicine.
Oh God. He's... Oh God, no.
Look, just to be sure, where did the 3 of you go?
Pantry. There was tons of food everywhere, but Excelivir? Nothing.
Tenmyoji slumped to the ground. For a moment there was silence.
Quark?
And then we have the whole Quark
Get
scene,
awake.
Get away from me!
which is
What?
too much of this all back to back.
What are you talking about?
Isn't it like
And see, if Cork is a full robot body, then him stabbing himself in the heart probably wouldn't kill him. So, like, it would also explain though why Cork was so strong, but he's not super strong, obviously, otherwise he would have been able to break free. And maybe that explains why Tin Myoji is standing here just potentially letting him kill himself, is that he knows that his robot body would just end and he can potentially, I don't know, recover from a backup or something. You could have made this whole sequence 2 or 3 sentences, and that's pretty much all it needed to be. Good. Thanks, whoever that was. Once again, Alice probably took the scalpel.
Luna.
Then we've got to just keep on skipping forward to see the Soparol.
That's the one that's in our good. Hit him with some of. He'll be fine. It's just it won't hurt.
But
Just hurry up and do it. Come on, Luna. Okay, let me just.
Like, if he's a robot, maybe the Soparol he was afraid wouldn't work.
Okay, I've got. Good. Wait until now. Do it now. Right. No. Stop. Stop.
Oh, they actually animated the Soparol, the red liquid going in and disappearing from the jar. That's odd, but understandable why you might think about doing that. Pant.
Respiration. According to these
See,
readings.
even at that, we still have now Alice to deal with.
What about the? How long will it last? I shouldn't wake up.
Man, you sure?
I think that might be the virus. It probably attacks the part of the brain that governs reason.
Yeah? How do you know?
Huh? Oh,
So,
well,
How much do you know about?
I guess the question to ask here would be,
probably know about all I've seen.
are we going to find the number 1 bomb
But I lie. I've seen other viruses.
like we did before?
So when
And
tried to
if we find the number 1 bomb,
that was because
is that because you always would in this branch? Or is it because we are just hitting a completion rate with all of these branches that you would always find a bomb? See, we clearly never saw any bombs in the first 4 branches here. So if I was to go and try and play from the very beginning and just try to rush through everything in this direction, and I started seeing bombs or bits of information that we didn't see before, we know that your decisions as far as which AB room you go to, or which AB vote you use, or which chromatic door you go through, may not really be controlling the things that it seems like they're controlling. But we still have to rush quite a bit to get through all this.
what are you doing?
Alice seems to always be the second one infected. It would be kind of funny if she ended up killing herself and still we ended up
We're all
going
to die.
forward.
We're all only terror.
Hey,
Let's keep
don't
on
understand.
skipping.
All of human. The virus was adults, children, everyone. There won't be anyone. I'd rather die.
Then we've got to chase after her. It just makes it take longer. Honestly, these should have been completely different scenarios. With at least a decision or a puzzle room in between them.
you lost her.
And if this was a movie or even a TV series, you would expect that if everybody was going to get infected with a virus and become suicidal, you would split up those 2 rising action scenes between
Yeah.
a large break of falling action.
All right, let's move, people. Get going.
And they just don't have those instincts. Maybe in Japanese writing, those instincts are wrong. Certainly, if you look at like Japanese TV, that is a very different kind of TV than Western TV in a lot of cases. And not just talking about anime, even their comedy shows, their news shows are pretty much the same, but a lot of stuff, a lot of live action shows are ridiculous. You really wouldn't get the Sentai Power Ranger type shows in the West. Nobody would have ever thought of that. Let's keep on going forward, man. I just am really having to force myself to maintain momentum here. And I've only done like one episode today, so it's only going to become more difficult to continue recording. We go to the lounge, and every time we go to the lounge in this, it doesn't do anything other than waste some time. Which, like, by wasting time, it allows Fi to find Alice instead of me to find Alice. Which, apparently, for one reason or another, has her drop the knife and not kill herself. Where we have seen one scenario where she actually does succeed to kill herself with the scalpel. Yep. It's also very Japanese that we're seeing a lot of knives in this game and no like guns or any other kinds of weapons. You could easily wrap in the concept of a Clue-like story where each character very quickly is given a different method of killing, like a noose, a lead pipe, a candlestick, things like that. So this is the pantry, huh? Allison, Tinmoji, and Dio search this room. I'm not sure that you search two places in the other timeline. Then we have a flashback. So we go to the garden. Now. And this is just taking forever. I didn't get a good look at where the control room really is, so I don't feel like the control room is where the big circle on the map is, where you kind of expect that to actually be the control room. And they never figured out that B stands for botanical. I guess it could be Buddhist garden, but there's not a lot of Buddhism. First thing I noticed was the smell, plant life everywhere, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, pointless stuff. Damn, she's not here either. Interesting, so she is in a different place. This is bad. We've been searching for Alice for a while, and I've found nothing. I hoped that nothing had happened to her, but... ... I searched every corner of the floor B. She was nowhere to be seen. This is pointless. I should just get back to floor A. Maybe someone else found her. Yeah, I don't know how you get a different flow that's good, or a good ending, where Alice is just missing the whole time. Or that Alice is dead. I mean, we might get a different ending if Alice is dead, because there's been plenty of endings where Alice dies. But definitely feels like as we are approaching the last few branches, we would have hit the point that says you should be seeing all new content and not anything repeated or anything negative. Doesn't look like anybody's here. Should have a look in the rooms. So I discovered the body this time. And in a weird way, that is the key that tells us she stabbed herself with the scalpel And she very well may have stabbed herself with the Myrmidon's blade in different timelines. So it may very well have been that Dio never actually stabbed her in any of the branches where we've seen her dead, and we've seen her dead plenty of times. And see, this is a question mark point. Where did Alice go? So are we going to unlock lock number 6? We unlocked lock number 8, and we unlocked lock number 9, and then we don't really have locks as far as deactivating the bombs. So if this is 6, then we know there is a 7, and if this is 5, we know there aren't any others. So yeah, almost certainly there is a number 7 lock somewhere down this path, and we may immediately unlock that. Alice. First thing I saw when I stepped through the door was the blossom of red on her chest. It was almost like getting punched. I stopped short, my body refusing to move. Now this text we've seen probably before, but it's been such a long time that I've fairly well forgotten it all. No. Why did this happen? First one shaking foot forward, then the next. My legs began to wobble. I put a hand against the wall to steady myself at my heart as my heart thundered in my chest. Calm down, calm down. This looks pretty bad, but you don't actually know anything yet. Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe we can still save her. Then at last I pressed my fingers to her neck, and those hopes were dashed. Would there be any suspicion in this case that I actually stabbed her? I mean, there might be a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if the story completely ignores that possibility, because it just would overcomplicate things if Clover in particular assumed that you just stabbed her in the chest in this timeline. Although she does do that in a different timeline. No pulse. Clearly she wasn't breathing either. Her pupils had dilated hideously, making her face seem somehow inhuman. No. Embedded in her chest was a scalpel. I suppose also, in this case, this probably proves that there is no storyline here where her body gets cold enough to prove or disprove the idea that she has Ice 9 in her blood. I was no doctor, but by judging the angle, it looked like it had pierced her heart. Had someone stabbed her? No. What if she...
We're all going to die.
And now we're flashing back to what was basically 5 minutes ago. And the fact that it was 5 minutes ago just goes to point out how long these sections can get stretched out. No. Something in my brain snapped. Yarg. Scream clawed its way out of my body, taking my mind with it. The last thing I felt was my body slumping to the floor as the world went dark. When I came to, I was floating in a field of nothingness. Seriously? Somebody killed me? Like, apparently something just game overed me in that timeline, and I don't know what. Like, I know I wasn't paying that much of attention. Where did Alice go? Well, seriously, I think they literally want me to rewind back to the position I've already been in and just go into a different timeline. So apparently I can now jump back. Let's do it. Let's see what happens here. So it jumps back to this point. No one here, huh? Damn. Where did she go? Then suddenly the world shifted. Yeah, so straight up in this one instance, they literally just wanted you to jump back. And so that kind of makes me wonder if really you needed to see other endings to unlock some of these other things. It kind of felt like you did, but I guess in this case, no. I was, for an instant, I was somewhere else entirely. My mind reeled, and then, just as I began to adjust, it was gone, as if nothing had happened. What? What was that? It was the same sensation I'd felt when I saw the vision of the bombs exploding. Had it been a premonition? This is bad. I need to find Alice now. But where could she be? Damn it, Alice, where are you? So, now we have a whole selection here. And we can go to the crew quarters. But we've also seen her in the botanical garden. We know it's definitely not the archives of the pantry. Let's go to the crew quarters. What about the crew quarters? So that opens up a door where potentially if we went back and played any of these timelines, we might have all kinds of different options. Like there might be way more choices that happen on a second playthrough, and I'll just never really know and never really see them because I'm not willing to potentially try and play every single timeline a second time. And I don't think there's any way the story can explain itself to say, actually, yeah, you went back to every timeline and every dead end, and you solved everybody's timeline and saved everybody not once but 9+ times over. Yeah, that has to be it. Set off at a dead run, which means he's going out the wrong place, but I don't know, maybe that would have been shorter to go that route. Then of course it'd be ironic if she's not there yet, or if you're too late regardless. The moment I entered the crew, I made straight for the door with the number 2 on it. Alice should be in here. I swallowed and threw open the door, and she is here. And it's the same stationary 3D animation with her just not moving that they used in the infirmary with just a different background. Alice, so you were here. As I spoke, her eyes turned toward mine, but I didn't get the feeling that they were looking at me. Her skin was pale and sickly. One of her hands held the scalpel like I'd caught her in the middle of something.
What are you doing here?
It's okay. I'm just here to help you.
Help me? What do you mean?
Just let go of that scalpel.
No, I need it to get this bracelet off.
Huh?
Remember what Zero Jr. told us? The bracelet comes off when your heart stops. So I just have to...
So, not making any sense, apparently. Why would they have animated this action? We literally have only seen it once. Stop. And once again, it is one of those animations where it only was 3 or 4 frames. They definitely had more ambition here. They probably wanted the whole game to be animated in 3D modeling, and they thought that by going to 3D modeling, then they could afford all the motion animations, and I think that probably was not what they thought it was going to be, frankly, because there's a big difference between rendering 3D models that are stationary and then fully animating a game, unless you have an in-game engine that can handle all that. And at a certain point, if this game was a little bit older, you could have probably made it in something like Unreal Engine, and that would have helped you along that path, but it still would have cost a lot more money than I imagine this game ever even had a budget for. Before I even finished the word, I was running over. I grabbed both of her arms and wrenched them back, pulling the blade away from her chest. And see here you have some more animation. So it'd be funny if you ended up getting stabbed.
Let me go. I have to do this.
It would be smarter, frankly, to cut off your arm with scalpel than it would be to kill yourself completely. But also, I suppose Zero Jr. would see you do that and just inject you before you were finished. But it's kind of surprising Zero Jr. doesn't inject them as soon as they try to stab themselves in the chest also, as they may be technically cheating at that point.
I can't take it anymore. This whole thing is like a nightmare I can't wake up from.
And then this animation is different in that her mouth is open and then you're not getting any lip flaps while she's talking.
The only way I'm going to get out of here is to die.
Knock it off. With a grunt, I tore the scalpel from her hands. Pant, pant, pant. It was the second before I felt a burning pain in my left hand. I'd apparently cut myself getting the damn thing away from her. Very quickly, it progressed from a dull throbbing to a hot line of pain across my palm. I clenched my teeth and squeezed my hand tight. I was so focused on my pain that I barely heard Alice collapse. She didn't respond when I shook her. Hey, are you alright? Alice, say something. There was a moment of terror before I realized she was still breathing. I didn't know why, but it seemed like she had only passed out. Boop. What am I supposed to do now? Oh man, maybe the infirmary. It's got all the medical things. Buoyed? I don't... Buoyed? Yeah, that's, I think, buoyed. By adrenaline, I hefted Alice's body and took off toward the infirmary. And there was a flash showing a transition or that the timeline had changed. And clearly the timeline had changed because we now are out of that locked section.
You need to hear this. The Atom has finished scanning Alice.
This is just kind of the same thing we've seen before.
Her results are identical to Quark's. She has also been infected with Radical 6.
If I'd called everyone back after I brought Alice to the infirmary, 7 sets of eyes widened as Luna spoke. I wonder if because I was cut, that increases the chance of me having Radical 6, or if they find out that I have a cybernetic arm. That would be really crazy too. I don't know why me having a cybernetic arm would change the story much at all.
No! What's going to happen to her? Well, like I said before, there's only one way to cure Radical 6. It's a special antiviral treatment. Whether or not there's any around here, though. No! No! Oh, Alice! I don't want you to die!
Continue to try and rush now that we're 15 minutes longer than I'd like to have been gone. Frankly, we're 45 minutes longer than I should have gone. Clover wrapped her arms around Alice's unconscious body and began to sob. Blah, 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 blah. None of us had the heart to pull her off. So all we could do is stand and watch uncomfortably.
10 minutes remain
And see,
until Ambidex Game polling closes.
this is also the story where so much happens in this timeline that you've completely forgotten that Dio opened the AB gates at the beginning of this whole scenario.
If no vote is recorded before the deadline,
We can go ahead and skip all of that.
Guys, I think we should get back to the warehouse.
What about Alice and Quark?
Guess we're just gonna have to leave him behind.
No! I'm not leaving!
So unless somebody else decides that they're not going to be a part of the vote, which would potentially change who votes for who, I imagine this is going to be very similar to the other votes. Clover's going to stay behind. Tomoji's going to stay behind, I would guess.
She's going to be fine. I gave her some Soparil. She'll just be sleeping like Quark. I don't care!
Unless she wakes up and rushes
She shouldn't have to be all by
to
herself.
betray.
Everything's coming up Sigma, huh? What a lucky, lucky man you are. You two are going to be playing against Clover. If she doesn't vote, then she'll default to ally. That means if she stays here, the two of you are going to be sitting pretty. Especially you, Sigma.
Do I have like 6?
You've got 6 BP right now.
So I could just betray and get 9. I say I'm gonna choose betray.
You'll get what you need to escape.
See, I don't know why Dio is such a jerk in so many scenarios when it doesn't even seem to benefit him. It would make sense if he was trying to get 9 points to escape, certainly, but sometimes he just seems like he's a jerk for no reason. Bastard, there's no way I'd do that. Yes, it is so. For one, I'm not the only one making this decision. Luna's my partner, and she'll be in the AB room with me. Really think she's just gonna stand by and let me do something like that? Back me up here, Luna.
Well, actually, I was planning to let you make the decision.
See? Told you. You can lie to us if you want, but you can't lie to yourself.
Shut up.
If
What?
I might make a suggestion, what if Sigma and Luna both remained here? Should all 3 of you abstain, then you would all be guaranteed to ally, correct?
This would be funny if they did that because nobody got to supplement a rule, but I think somebody did. Nope, doesn't work like that. Here, take a look at this. Yep.
Huh? What's this? There wasn't anything like this in the pantry.
Nothing in the garden either.
I guess they only put one in the archives. Whatever. I'll just read it for you. There's some more AB game rules for you. Not voting is not an option. If both parties refuse to vote, then everybody gets penalized. In other words, one person of each color group has to vote. Get it? I wonder if there is actually a branch where we could just make it so nobody gets that rule. Because if that rule was eliminated, it would have solved a lot of problems.
That means either Dio or Tenmyoji is going to have to vote then.
And if there is no, like, storyline branch like that, then it would have just been easier to say that rule at the very beginning.
And they're playing against Alice. Oh. I guess playing against is a little generous.
So Alice is guaranteed to vote ally, which means that if Dio picks betray...
Knock it off. You trying to get back at me for what I said earlier? No way am I going to choose betray.
This would be an interesting scenario where if Dio and Sigma both stay in infirmary, and then Luna and whoever else, I can't even remember who would be voting against ally. Yeah, but I doubt there would be a storyline that Sigma does not get to vote at all. That'd be interesting, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
What do you think would happen to her if I did that?
Let's keep on going forward. I'm losing steam like crazy.
What?
I wouldn't put it past you.
Cool it, boys. Don't worry. I'm gonna be in that room too. I'd planned to stay here with Quark just to make sure he was safe, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna have that luxury. I can't trust Dio to make a decision for all 3 of us. That means we're gonna be sharing a room, bucko. I've got my eye on you. Happy now, Sigma?
Yeah, thanks. That's a relief.
Oh man, everybody's against me. Whatever shall I do?
Can't be too careful. I wouldn't want to see Alice killed by an unfortunate accident.
What do you mean, accident?
Tenmyoji, before we went into the CDs, you told Alice there was something you wanted to tell her.
Yeah, we never got that backstory.
What was it?
Huh? Oh, that, well, I mean, look, it wasn't important. Just forget about it.
We still don't get any revelation there.
5 minutes remain until Ambidex Game polling.
So yeah, Sigma and Dio could stay behind in the infirmary. Luna and Tenmyoji could go vote.
Time's running out, people. Clover and I will stay here and keep an eye on Alice and Quark.
And Fi and Clover
Everyone
are
else needs to
staying.
go. What?
You're staying too?
Yeah. If something does happen, Clover might need a hand.
Aren't you a solo? You're playing against Kay and Quark. But with Quark out, that means Kay would get to decide the whole round.
Are you saying that you trust me?
Yes.
Even though I have 6 BP?
Yes.
Interesting. So Fi is putting a lot of trust in Kay,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you nuts?
which I guess you have to
What
anyways.
happens when he gets 9 BP?
I'm not worried. Kay won't betray me.
How can you know that?
I just know, I guess.
Interesting. So she has some memories.
You just know? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Had something happened between Fi and Kay while they were exploring?
I understand. I can hardly
Maybe
betray
something
trust
had.
like that, can I?
Or maybe this is just a different timeline memory.
Good. We're counting on you.
I've had enough of this bullshit.
I feel like there's definitely a scenario where
4 minutes remain.
where
Until Ambidex Game polling
Kay is gonna betray, but maybe this is all a trick, and maybe Fi is gonna run and go through an AB room and vote herself
Hurry!
and betray him.
All right, you kids. Take care of those two, okay?
Of course.
And he
We
calls
promise.
Clover and Fi kids, which I guess in comparison they are the two youngest people still awake. We were off. I gave one last quick nod to Fi and Clover before heading back to the warehouse at a dead run. More transition animations. Everybody ready? I'm going to open my AB gate. Although I guess it doesn't really matter. Dio already opened one earlier.
Only you and I remain.
Right.
Be funny if they went through Dio's door and it turned out that that there was the dead lady in it. Okay, let's go. But I guess Dio still is planning on going through the same room as Tenmyoji is going through. Two more AB gates slid open. We all shared one last look at each other before ducking into the respective rooms. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. If the dead body was in the AB rooms, there's been several scenarios where somebody would have had to call him out on that. I'll hit start because we can't save at the moment. And then I'll start to have this conversation, and this is a
2 minutes
good
remain
point to save.
until Ambidex Game polling closes.
Yeah, and that leaves us in a good position where we can make a choice where almost certainly betrays just a dead end, and Ally gives us more story, and then we will just be all about finishing this content in the next recording if we can actually manage to do all that. I don't have the highest hopes that will play out that way, though. We still oddly have yet to see a ending for 6 out of the 9 characters. That just seems really, really crazy. Which also implies that this game might be a lot longer than it seems. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.